NBC2 and ABC7 continue our continuous coverage, team coverage of Hurricane Ian recovery. We know that many of you are listening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. Here's what we know right now. 6 people are confirmed dead in Charlotte County, and the Lee County Sheriff said there are numerous fatalities in Lee, but has not confirmed a number for us.
Our crews are spread out trying to reach every community. We want you to know that we're trying to get there. You want to see, you want to hear what your neighborhood looks like. We understand that. Right now, we just can't safely reach every area yet. Some of the access points are closed, but we will keep trying to get there for you.
Law enforcement is urging people to stay off the roads. First of all, most traffic lights are not working, and intersections are, it's like madmen out there. You pull up to it, people don't want to stop. Some people basically aren't because there's not a traffic light. They're blowing through intersections. So if you come to an intersection, if you have to drive, you need to stop at every intersection, whether there's a traffic light there or not, and be courteous. Again, if you can stay home, just stay home. That is the safest thing. There is a curfew until tomorrow night at 6 in most of Lee County and part of Collier County. There is no curfew in Naples. But again, best to stay home. The roads are hazardous. There are cars that are on the road. We were driving home in the middle of the night, and it was daunting.
It was definitely like a war zone and not equipped for full traffic right now. Remember, 98% of Lee County, at the last update from this county manager, does not have power. 98%. So the last thing they want are people out at night when it's pitch black. They know that businesses and homes are vulnerable right now, and the last thing police and sheriff's deputies need to be doing is trying to stop looting. So they're just urging you, please stay home if you can. Arcadia, city officials have also declared a curfew there starting tonight at 9 o'clock, lasting through 6 in the morning. This will be in place every night until further notice. The city marshal says there have been some instances of looting already, so the curfew is going to help put an end to that, hopefully.
A lot of people are cleaning up their yard waste. They're already out there. My husband's already out there with his chainsaw trying to clean up our yard. There's debris everywhere. There's going to be a special collection but Lee County is not going to resume garbage collection until next week, October 3rd, and then there'll be regular trash collection days. So don't put your garbage out now because it's not going to be picked up, especially if it's basically trash, and you need to separate the yard waste from the garbage as well, and there will be a separate pickup for the yard waste.
And you know, if you were here for Irma 5 years ago, it takes a long time to clear all this debris. They're going to have to do this slowly and methodically because you only have so many drivers, you only have so many trucks, you only have so many hours in the day. So just please be patient, and if you are stacking it for now, don't block any roads and don't mix your debris.
The county deputies are shutting down access to Fort Myers Beach. There's a checkpoint is stopping people from getting onto the island. You have to prove, you have to show an address, you have to prove that you live there if your reason for going down to Fort Myers Beach. So be aware of that. You can't just go down because, hey, let's go down to Fort Myers Beach and see the damage, or let's go to the beach today because we're not working and we have nothing else to do. You cannot go down to Fort Myers Beach. They need the emergency crews. They need, people who do live there and need to assess the damage. They don't want looters on the beach, not to mention that it's dangerous.
Yep, it's a total mess along our coastline. If you are able to see us, if you have electricity and you are watching this, you're seeing the video right down San Carlos Boulevard. It's destroyed. There are boats on the roads. There are boats flipped over and tossed to the other side of the road. There are roofs from buildings that were right on the water that got ripped off. It is as bad as you could possibly imagine.
We're looking at the fishing boats, the charter boats that you can take out right on San Carlos Boulevard and some of the little, fish places that you can buy from. Now our drone video is going to the mobile home communities on the other side, and on Main Street on Estero on San Carlos Island. Before you get to Estero Island, there's a shrimp fleet. Well, there was a shrimp fleet. The boats are damaged. We're showing you video right now of the mobile home community across the street from Main Street, basically blown across Main Street onto the shrimp boats, the fleet across the street. And then farther down is where you take the Key West Express, Salty Sam's Marina, Parrot Key, all of those restaurants are down this main street. And right now it is just a mess.
We have some video from Times Square. If you've been to Fort Myers Beach, chances are you've been to the pier, you've been to Times Square. The video we're showing right now is what was the pier. Now you just see the concrete little pylons that held together each section of the pier. The entire boardwalk is wiped off. That little shop at the end of the pier where you could buy some trinkets or some fish bait, gone. It is just the concrete pillars that held together the sections of the pier. It was completely wiped off, perhaps by the wind, but more likely by the 10-foot storm surge that this area saw.
If you head a little bit farther down Estero Boulevard toward the Lani Kai, or what's left of the Lani Kai, and what really, I mean, if you're a local, if you go down to Fort Myers Beach, you go to the Cottage. And that is right next to the Lani Kai. Well, at least it was right next to the Lani Kai. The Gulf Shore Grill, the Cottage, it's a mainstay if you're a local in town and you have people come to visit and they want to go to have a drink and something to eat on the beach. And there it is, right there, next to the Lani Kai. It's always fun to look over and see what's going on at the beach at the Lani Kai. Always very, very entertaining. Remember, a lot of people in our community in Lee County actually live on Fort Myers Beach. A couple of Jack's teachers live on Fort Myers Beach and make the commute in because they love it so much. And a lot of the homes there are damaged. It
is part of what makes Southwest Florida so special. It's beautiful. It's got a relaxed vibe to it. Just like Sanibel, people love going there. We always knew that there was a certain risk with living in our little slice of paradise, living right on the water, and we are seeing what happens when the worst case scenario comes to fruition.
I just got a text from someone asking if I've heard from a mutual friend of ours. They live down in Fort Myers Beach, Mid-Island. No one has heard from the family since. I believe they are still waiting to be rescued from their home. If you know anyone on the beach, please send them to check to their house. And she told me the street that they live on. And I can't tell you how many texts we've been getting from people saying, can you send someone to Fort Myers Beach to check on this family, to check on this family? This is how tenuous it is right now. And this family had to ride out the storm. A tree fell on their house. The water was coming up. They were up on their countertops. And then everyone lost contact with them. And people are still trying to get in touch with this family.
The cell service has been spotty at best. There is, that's good because that's the likely reason that you have not been able to get in touch with your friends or family if you haven't. It's hopefully not because something happened to them. It's just because it's very difficult to get calls and texts to go through right now.
The Naples city manager did say that they're bringing in a portable tower for Verizon customers. So maybe other cell phone service providers will do the same, bring in a portable tower. So while everybody is trying to, because the landlines are down, everybody is on a cell phone and it's just overloading the system.
Yeah, to boost the signal a little bit would be incredibly helpful right now. Any information on that sort of stuff, the stuff that's going to make your life a little easier right now, that is a core part of our job. We want to make sure that as soon as we get that information, we are passing it on to you. Let's continue with our coverage here on NBC2 and ABC7. Some of our crews were able to get to Fort Myers Beach for kind of a ground view for you.
NBC2's Brianna Fernandez is showing us some businesses destroyed by the storm.
Guys, we have seen the pictures, we have seen the videos of Sanibel, Naples, and Fort Myers Beach. We just got here to the island, and it is, I don't have any words. I want you to take a look at this restaurant. This is actually a very popular tourist restaurant. You can't even tell, but this was once the Salty Crab. Everything inside is gone. The kitchen, the tables, is just scattered everywhere. I spoke to one lady who was actually here during Hurricane Ian. Listen to what she has to say.
It was very terrifying. It was a nightmare. It was loud. It was uncertain. The houses all around me, surrounding me, were all destroyed.
And as the water came up, her Fort Myers Beach home broke off. Ashley Nuttingham knew it was too late for her to leave.
I packed a bag to jump out the window into the water. There was a dumpster in the backyard, and that was my only hope, I thought. And I just stopped and I prayed. Nottingham went through Charlie. Irma has lived on Fort Myers Beach for decades, but has never seen her beautiful island like this. I didn't think it would be this bad. I still don't know what happened. I don't know where it hit. I don't know what category it was. I don't know anything other than I'm alive and I'm grateful. Once our interview wrapped up, Ashley did want me to share this one message for her loved ones. My family, I'm alive. Hello, I love you. So hearing the stories and, of course, seeing this in person, it is just devastating. It is heartbreaking. Right behind me, we're so used to seeing buildings and popular restaurants next to the Lani Kai, but it is just a flat surface. I'm going to stay here in Fort Myers Beach, bringing you the latest. For now, in Lee County, I'm Brianna Fernandez.
Going to be seeing a lot of pictures like that. Places, our favorite places to go, places that we like to take our families, not there anymore. It'll be a new normal, but it'll be fine.
Yes, it breaks my heart. I know we'll be fine in the end. It's going to take a while. And whether you lived on Fort Myers Beach and your place is gone, or you rely on your income from working on Fort Myers Beach, this is going to be an incredible hardship. And our hearts go out to you right now.
We'll be right back.
Ram Power Days at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. New Jeep Compass, just $299 per month. Or get 2.9% financing. We sell more, you save more. At Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and GallianaCars.com.
Perkins Burger, Fries, and Pie Combos are back, starting at $10.99. Mix and match any of our 100% Angus beef burgers with fries and a slice of any of our pies. And don't forget to order pumpkin pies and muffins from our bakery. Order online at perkinstogo.com.
When our middle son, Brandon, left to go to work, he was only 21 years old. And the last words I said to him is, I love you. And a twice deported illegal ran into him and hit him so hard that he caused Brandon's car to flip, and he killed him. My child's killed by someone who should not have been here. This is what happens when we have open borders. We were able to go and meet with Governor DeSantis. He said, I want to hear your son's story, and to see the compassion in his eyes. And I saw the concern. He wanted to make sure other lives were protected. And as a governor, he truly has been upholding the oath that he took, which is to protect Floridians. He not only talks a good talk, but he walks it. He's been very strong on safety. He's been very strong on law and order. He has made our state one of the safest states to be in. There's no greater leader than Governor DeSantis, because he didn't just listen. He put action behind it.
Over $21,000 in finance savings at Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. New Wagoneer, Ram, or Gladiator, all with 0% financing for 72 months. Saves you over $21,000. Galliana Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and GallianaCars.com.
When severe weather threatens, you can count on the weather experts. Tracking every storm around the clock with First Alert Live Radar. It's why Southwest Florida counts on the NBC2 First Alert Storm Team.
Welcome back to continuing coverage on NBC2 and ABC7. Many of you have been asking us to check out Pine Island and Matlacha. Unfortunately, the only road there is closed.
It's just too dangerous right now, and the bridge to Matlacha they think might be compromised. Our crews, though, did make it to the barrier, the roadblock, where people are being turned around, people desperate to see if their homes made it through the storm.
The big bridge is still there, but everything south of Pine Island Road, like from the restaurant to the Bridgewater, is all gone. Burt's is gone. Bridgewater's gone. All the houses. Boats are in yards. Trucks are in yards. Everything's just tore up.
The cop was telling us that basically there's a quarter-mile flooded in, and the bridge is still there, but there's a channel just flowing through.
I sure had to go swimming in about 6 feet of water, it felt like. It just came in so fast. We tried getting in my van, tried to get out of here, and it just did not work. The water swept us right away.
Crews are diligently working to try to assess the situation, find any people in need of rescue. We're just asking that people avoid the area. There's no access to the Pine Island area at this time. The bridges have been knocked out. Right now, we're still assessing the situation as far as timeline. We have calls that were gathered during the storm, and we're actually addressing those currently. We just ask that people be safe, use common sense, try to allow access to the emergency traffic because it's very limited.
Here now with,
Matlacha is just a wonderful little fishing community, an artist enclave. Bert's Bar, everybody's got to go to Bert's Bar at one time in their life. The Bridgewater, they're iconic. They're things to do on a Sunday afternoon when you say, hey, let's take a drive out to Matlacha. But it's also a community, a very tight-knit community. And to think that there's water just flowing right through that pass now and no way to get to Pine Island is daunting.
It's still, I don't know, to me, it's very surreal. I don't, it doesn't quite feel real just yet.
It's like a nightmare.
We're here with meteorologist Rob Duns. If you're listening to our coverage on the radio stations because you don't have power, you recognize the voice. But, Rob, you have been a very calm voice, despite your fears of what might happen and what did happen, of helping guide people yesterday as the storm was moving through.
It really was a worst nightmare.
We always love you. We love you even more now.
It's my pleasure. But this really was just a worst nightmare. I think it exceeds anything that I thought was even possible, even knowing what the storm surge values could have been. It just still seems just too surreal right now.
You know, I think when people hear you and Allison and our meteorologists say, hey, we could have 10, 12, 15 feet of storm surge, I think sometimes it's hard for them to imagine in their head what that actually looks like. And I think now we know.
I got to be honest with you. I've been giving hurricane seminars for the 8 or 9 years that I've worked here, and on several occasions people have come up to me afterward and says, you shouldn't do that. You're scaring people by telling people that there could be 10 foot of, and I'm like, you know, it is what it is, and it's my job to communicate that. You know, and for these past years I'm thinking, well, maybe should I not talk about it then? If people are going to give me these mean comments about it?
No, it's not a popularity contest. You are a scientist, and you give your information that you need to. I live off of 41 in South Fort Myers. There were 10 feet of water in my backyard coming up. It's storm surge, and it took 6 hours for it to go down. It wasn't in and out, so it's real.
One of the things I've really tried to stress the last several years is the huge difference in evacuation zones between our counties here in Southwest Florida as compared to the East Coast counties. Because in the East Coast counties, like in Broward County, there is no permanent evacuation zone west of US 1. But here, just about everybody who lives in Lee County is in one evacuation zone for a form or fashion. So the reason why is because of how our coastline is shaped and what the surface of the earth looks like underneath the water. It's just a very, very vulnerable point for storm surge, and unfortunately things just added up in the worst case scenario, and you know, just will change how things look here for decades. I mean, Matlacha, one of the things people liked about our community so much is that it was organic, and it was a small, it made like a small town type feel, and in many respects we are going to be starting over, you know, I would say from scratch, but it's almost below scratch because you got to get rid of all the debris first. So something else I wanted to point out, though, is that in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria on Puerto Rico, satellites observed that the island went from very green to very brown right after the hurricane. And the reason why is because leaves on nearly all the trees on the island were ripped off. And late yesterday, and then especially evident today, if you look at, you know, this is just one of the only operating cameras we have in the city right now. Before the storm, our parking lot had these gorgeous trees, and it was really, they're always covered very green. Almost all the leaves on these trees in the Fort Myers area have been ripped off.
It's like my backyard. The leaves are gone.
When you were able to go outside this morning and finally check your property, that's probably the first thing that many of you noticed, was that your leaves, your trees were stripped bare, and your vegetation was practically gone. That speaks to the wind speed yesterday.
I also wanted to show this because, you know, a lot of these trees took a real beating yesterday, and they could be sitting in some pretty precarious positions right now. So, you know, it might not take a very strong little burst of wind or a little just a general breeze for the rest of the tree to go. So as you continue to work on your cleanup here over the next few hours, especially, but the next several days, just keep that in mind, because it may not take much more for, you know, an additional limb to break if it's already compromised. So, you know, a lot of people get hurt, and a lot of people unfortunately lose their lives in the aftermath of the hurricane in trying to clean up after the hurricane. So, you know, make sure you take care of yourself, be aware of your surroundings. It's been a stressful event for everyone. We're not probably thinking fully straight, so just make sure you're thinking about your safety here, because this is a big concern now for everyone here who's made it through. We really have to take care of each other now, and you know, keep an eye out for one another when it comes to these real basic things. When it comes to your forecast tonight, I know a lot of people are going to go into bed without electricity, and that means no air conditioning tonight. And we are looking at fairly mild temperatures right now. Most of us are still in the low 80s for what temperature sensors we have available to us yet, but it will be somewhat humid tonight. You know, obviously there was a big drop in the humidity because the air mass behind the hurricane is so much drier, but it will be fairly uncomfortable for you to sleep tonight if you're going without the air conditioner. One reason, because we're just so accustomed to always having it, so it will be somewhat uncomfortable tonight, as our dew point temperatures are ranging from the upper 60s to low 70s, and typically whenever that dew point number is in the upper 60s and low 70s, we feel the humidity, at least to a degree, but at least again, the humidity before the hurricane is notably lower, so there is perhaps some silver lining there. First Alert Live Doppler radar is sweeping clear right now, and this is the reason why. A gigantic change in the air mass behind the hurricane. If you're listening to us on the radio, what I'm showing you is the water vapor satellite imagery. To the west of Florida is a big plume of red indicating dry air. To the east of Florida is a plume of green indicating the tropical moisture with Ian as it continues to move away from us. It's the red, the dry air that's moving in the wake of the hurricane that's over our heads tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and for a good chunk of next week. And that, thankfully, will keep rain chances low for us for the foreseeable future. So your forecast tonight calls for mostly clear and fairly quiet weather. We'll still have that northwest breeze between 10 and 15 miles per hour. There may be a few occasional gusts up to around 22 miles per hour, but overall temperatures only dropping back tonight into the low 70s at 71 degrees. Something to keep in mind tonight, because so many people will be in the dark, is that sunset is at 7:20 p.m. tonight. So after 7:20, it'll be getting real dark around here very quickly. Tomorrow, the sunrise is at 7:16 in the morning, so if you can, stay indoors until the sun comes up if we want to start getting out there, because it'll be a lot easier, of course, to see where you're going once the sun rises. And then throughout the day tomorrow, it will be warm again. High temperatures popping up to around 87 degrees. Somewhat humid, you know, not true summertime humidity, but there will be some humidity in the equation, with northwest winds tomorrow between 10 and 15 knots. Now, I did want to mention one additional thing with this weathercast when it comes to the tide cycles. We've seen the incredible damage that the areas of the debris that's just floating in areas like Estero Bay and the Gulf of Mexico. Tomorrow, the winds will be turning lighter, but from the north. So, you know, it's possible that in areas where there's still debris in the water, things will be moving from north to south. But thankfully, again, the winds substantially weaker than they've been over the course of the past 2 days. But do keep in mind that northern orientation to the wind tomorrow, as that means something that you should keep in mind there, especially if you're dealing with coastal cleanup throughout the day. The high tide and low tide cycles, we're moving toward a period of high tide. So right now the water levels will be rising naturally. The next high tide cycle for Point Ebel comes up at 2:21 tomorrow morning. The next high tide cycle for Iona comes up at 4:55 in the morning. So again, the water levels will be rising overnight tonight, not because of storm surge in this case, but because of the high tide cycle. And that may move around some of the debris that continues to float in our area's waters. Off the coast of Collier County, the next high tide cycle in Naples comes up at 1:56 in the morning. And for Marco Island, it's just before 3 o'clock in the morning. And for Charlotte County, your next high tide cycle arrives at 2:50 in the morning for Englewood. And just before 5 o'clock in the morning in Punta Gorda, the high tide cycle peaks at 4:53 in the morning tomorrow. Now, for tomorrow's forecast, thankfully, as Kelly pointed out, we are not concerned about substantial rain. So there's a real blessing for the folks who are dealing with substantial roof damage. That dry air that I showed you on the satellite really helps to keep rain chances low throughout the day on Friday. So we're looking at rain chances less than 20% on Friday, less than 20% on Saturday. And thankfully, the extended forecast does look fairly dry. Only isolated shower opportunities from time to time next week, but do make sure you pay attention to these temperatures. Nighttime lows only dropping back into the upper 60s and low 70s with some humidity. It will be fairly uncomfortable to sleep tonight for folks without electricity. We're going to pause for a moment for a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after this.
I'm Jay Gansey with Southwest Florida's home of Jay's Price, Cape Coral Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. During Ram Power Days, get 0% on select 2022 vehicles in stock and save thousands for the best price in Southwest Florida, period.
I'm Marco Rubio, and I approved this message.
Val Demings. She'd be Florida's most liberal senator ever. Demings votes with Pelosi 100%. She supports amnesty and gave stimulus checks to illegal immigrants. Supports taxpayer-funded abortion until the moment of birth. Demings even voted to allow transgender youth sports and teach children radical gender identity without parental consent. Val Demings. She's not just liberal. She's dangerously radical.
From the beginning, we've never wanted to market in the traditional ways. Instead, we've wanted to tell stories, and those stories have taken us everywhere. Going cross-country on a dusty road, or trying to photograph and film underwater. We've had a lot of fun coming up with some unique ideas that help express where inspiration comes from and what we're here to do. We're celebrating our decade of design, and who knows what the next 10 years are going to bring.
The great experiences you have in here and even out here all started here. Because the best customer experience always leaves a great impression. GMC, awarded #1 in sales satisfaction by J.D. Power. Step up to GMC with 0% financing on these GMC models. We are professional grade GMC.
Join us this Sunday morning at 11:30 for Power and Politics, hosted by Frank Cipolla and political psychologist Dr. Bart Rossi. Sponsored in part by YourForeverMemories.net.
The storm surge left boats everywhere across Southwest Florida. We have shown you pictures of them. They're lifted out of the water, entire big, huge charter boats and yachts, smaller boats, and just simply put on the road. It's going to take a long time to remove them and get them back on the water.
NBC2's Alex Howard went to South Lee County to show us some of the damage from one marina.
It's just it's a really sad situation for sure. And
on Creek Drive in South Lee County, we had to wait for crews to clear fallen trees just to get to what was left of Mulock Creek Marina.
My understanding was I wasn't here last night when the high water came, but I believe that where I'm standing right now was probably over my head.
Amidst destroyed houses, Captain Jack Cuevas, who launches out of the marina, arrived to find his boat in the middle of a pile, put there by storm surge.
And so on the 2-year anniversary of getting my captain's license, this is what I come back to. It's devastating for everybody that's here. It's devastating for Mulock Creek.
Many homes, boats, and vehicles here are a total loss.
These boats, they don't matter. You can replace a boat. You can replace anything. You can't replace you and your loved ones.
Reporting in Lee County, Alex Howard, NBC2.
Take another break. We'll be right back.
Your AC breaks down. You stand in front of the open fridge just to take the edge off. Ice cream melts, shorts out the compressor, power surge trips the breaker, triggers a statewide blackout so big they name it after you. Now, best case scenario, you call Best Home Services. So many specialized technicians, we have a total disaster fixing AC expert. We fix your old unit and it works great. You stay refreshed, ice cream stays frozen, and your kids think you're the coolest dad ever. You know, for now. Get best.com. Best case scenario.
Just outside of a town called Basic is Basic Lake, where families gather together for some basic fun. And if you have the 2022 Nissan Rogue, with a VC turbo engine and 5 drive modes, you can climb above basic and find a trail where no one else goes. The 2022 Nissan Rogue. Anything but basic.
Get 1.9% financing for 36 months on 10 models. Like Rogue, with best-in-class fuel economy.
Perkins burger, fries, and pie combos are back, starting at just $10.99. Mix and match any of our 100% Angus beef burgers, like our barbecue Tangler burger, breakfast burger, and the all-new Smokehouse Bacon Double Cheeseburger. Served with crispy fries and a slice of any of our famous Perkins pies. And don't forget to order seasonal treats from our bakery, like our fresh-baked pumpkin pies and muffins. Order online at perkinstogo.com.
Preparing for hurricane season starts with a plan, and it's easier than ever. Scan to get the NBC2 First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus on your phone now. It's packed with information about what you need to know before, during, and after the storm from the weather experts you count on. The NBC2 First Alert Hurricane Guide Plus, sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers.
Welcome back to NBC2 and ABC7's continuous coverage of Hurricane Ian. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. Let's go ahead and give you some of the latest visuals we have of the damage the day after this hurricane blew through. And all we can say is the devastation is astounding. This is Lee County, overlooking, looking south over South Fort Myers and towards the Sanibel Causeway and some of the communities in South Fort Myers, the Iona McGregor area. And it's hard to see because this is kind of generic, but you can see some of the devastation. The trees definitely look barren, roofs off, pool cages blown in, cars on their side. That's pretty much the standard in many communities across our area.
Yes, there are roads that we need to get to that aren't going to be fixed for a while. Right now, we're showing you boats piled on top of each other. I'm not
This is
sure
the Port Sanibel Marina and the Lighthouse
Marina.
Restaurant right there.
There are so many places where boats are just sitting on top of each other, or perhaps were tossed out of the water into a parking lot, onto a road, into the mangroves on the other side of the street. It's really, really terrible stuff. Again, this is from Port Sanibel Marina.
This is off of Summerlin Road on the way to the toll bridge and on the way to the Sanibel Causeway, and they are large boats. We're not talking about, little 20-foot, skip. This is big boats, yachts in many cases. This is a well-known marina. I know we both have rented boats out of here to cruise around to the islands, and a lot of boat storage areas as well. I think a lot of people lift their boats out of the water. They put them in these boat condos, they call them, in storage, thinking that it's safe. But with these winds, it wasn't.
And for the ones who kept their boats on the water, we are showing you some yachts right now. We understand that many of you are listening on the radio because you don't have power. It doesn't matter if your boat weighs 10 tons. When the water rises 10 feet, well, that's going to send it places. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. The storm surge was so devastating that very, very, very few boats are going to look like they did before yesterday.
Can we go to the Sanibel Causeway and the images we have of the Sanibel Causeway? This is the road leading to the Sanibel Causeway before you get to the this is Summerlin Road before you get to the toll plaza, and you can see the pavement is ripped off, cars tossed. But we do have some aerials of the causeway itself, and hoping to get those to you, because when you see the Sanibel Causeway and several of the bridge spans compromised in the water, and you see one of the islands washed away, and you can basically walk, swim. There's a path in between. You can no longer drive from the mainland Punta Rassa onto Sanibel.
It's only one of the spans, though, right? I think one direction. I think there is.
No, there's no way to get. It's entirely washed out. Keith, do we have those aerials of Sanibel?
How did Kyla get there? I think
she's not. Kyla was in Punta Rassa on this side in the parking lot. That is the Sanibel Causeway right there. There is no way.
So there's no access except for now on a boat to Sanibel.
Which isn't a good idea right now because there's way too much.
Correct. But just thinking ahead to what people who live there are going to be dealing with. I mean, we've got the entire economy of that island relies on tourism. It is going to be a long time until they can get that all back up and running.
I would think it would be months before the Sanibel Causeway is open again, if not longer months, because not only one of the man-made islands washed away. Sorry, our visuals aren't matching with what we're talking about, but just to finish our thought with the Sanibel Causeway, there's no way to get to Sanibel or Captiva Island. The middle island has washed out, and the bridges, several spans of the bridges are down. Now we were showing you some areas of fires, which are happening a lot in the community as well.
Yeah, it's a bit of an Armageddon feel when you get the full scope of the devastation in our community. This is a fire in Lee County. Do we know which community this was? Our helicopter was spanning so many different areas today, but the house was on fire, and this could have happened because of a broken gas line, perhaps. So many different things can happen with the infrastructure of a building after you get storm surge or wind damage, that whatever was left of this home after the storm is now gone because of a fire.
And that's a duplex or a triplex, too, so there's several families displaced in that one right there. Let's go ahead and go to the Sanibel Causeway video. My producer tells us that we do have it now, and it's just jaw-dropping to see in several places. The A bridge has a break in it. The B and I haven't seen the C span yet. That one might be okay, but the second Causeway Island has washed away. So basically, it's just a clear path from the mouth of the river, Pine Island Sound, into the Gulf of Mexico and the right by the Sanibel lighthouse, which we had been hearing yesterday, Peter, was destroyed.
Gone. Thankfully, that rumor was not true.
Right, but the outbuilding, the out parcel building, it looks like is no longer there. But the causeway, the Sanibel Lighthouse itself is there, but it looks like it's almost in the water. I mean, it's right on the edge of the beach for sure.
They are going to have to practically rebuild the entire island. I mean, there are maybe bits and pieces that were relatively unspared, but the whole island was flooded.
Yeah.
And so even if you lived on the second story of a condo or something that didn't get damaged, the floor below you certainly was. And I don't think we're exaggerating to say that they are going to have to completely tear down and rebuild the vast majority of Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach.
We had some helicopter aerials as well, and hopefully we can get them at some point, but we were showing you of Sanibel and the beachfront and the many, many homes that were destroyed. We were also seeing some fires in homes on Sanibel, beachfront homes, mansions as well. And then you have places like the Sundial Resort, where it was fun to go for maybe a weekend away or take your family, or they had a restaurant there. Extensive damage at the Sundial Resort. The Westwind Resort looked like it suffered a lot of roof damage. And here are some of those images there. You can see some of the homes on Sanibel, different than Fort Myers Beach. These structures are still standing. Fort Myers Beach, a lot of the structures are gone, but the damage is extensive.
For those of you, we understand many of you don't live Fort Myers Beach or Sanibel, and maybe the most pressing thing on your mind is when the power is going to come back on. We are trying to get an interview with someone from LCEC and FP&L to give you an update, but we can tell you, okay, so that's going to happen at 4:45, we hope. So stick with us at 4:45. We're going to try and get an update on power restoration efforts. We do know from the Lee County manager that 98% of the county is still without power. That was at least a couple hours ago the case. 90% of LCEC customers, so they have a huge task ahead of them. And it's going to take some time.
And cell service. I mean, the county officials in Lee, Charlotte, and Collier claim that they're working with them. Naples is bringing in an extra tower. So many people can't get through on cell service. Try to find another way to contact your loved ones if you can. If you want to talk to people at home, I can messenger my mother and I can email her, but I can't text her.
Just, try and think of your alternative ways of getting in touch with people. Facebook Messenger, apps, social media apps that you may use, WhatsApp. There are different ways that seem to be working better than calling and texting.
This is a look right now at the number of power outages still. This is an update right up to the minute. You can see at 4:39, up to the minute update on how many people are without power in all of Southwest Florida, and it's safe to say a majority of the people are still without power.
Okay, so this map, again, if you're just listening and can't see us right now, Lee County, 410,000 customers. The customer could be a home with 2, 3, 4, 5 people. There's about 800,000 people in Lee County, so you could extrapolate that and say, again, almost everyone in Lee County does not have power right now. 410,000 Lee County, nearly 200,000 customers in Collier County, 110,000 in Charlotte County. It just goes on and on and on. The power restoration effort is going to be as big, if not bigger, than what they had to undertake after Irma.
We're going to try to talk a little bit more about that with FPL when we come back.
Wells Fargo lets you know where you stand with your FICO credit score. What if you knew where you stood with everything, like your future in-laws?
Hope you like cats.
I hope your parents like me. They're whispering.
The kitties like her.
Can they tell I'm allergic? Tears of joy.
Welcome to the family.
Like knowing where you stand? When it comes to your credit score, you can with Wells Fargo.
Ready? It's happening now through Monday at Rooms to Go. Pick from 100 beautiful rooms, each under $1,500. Picture it, your home, fully furnished in your style, with living rooms under $1,500, dining rooms under $1,500, bedrooms under $1,500. So many stylish options, each under $1,500. And it gets better. Finance for $30 or less per month, interest-free for 50 months. Now through Monday at Rooms to Go.
I would describe myself as a fighter. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. For over 30 years, my fights have been against giants. I fight the powerful for the powerless, and our results speak for themselves. We have recovered billions and billions and billions of dollars for our clients. $1.2 billion in one case alone. I risk millions of dollars of my own money in case costs fighting these wrongdoers. If you want a fighter, you can count on me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people.
As severe weather continues to impact Southwest Florida,
we are by far not done with the threat of storm surge.
Count on NBC2 for the information you need to stay safe.
This situation is as dire as we all feared it might get.
The NBC2 First Alert Storm Team is tracking the storm, updating you with the latest conditions, and alerting you to every threat.
Just torrential rain continues to fall in these neighborhoods.
For continuous severe weather coverage, count on NBC2.
You're watching NBC2 and ABC7's continuous coverage. We are covering Hurricane Ian and the recovery, and we are here with you. Along the way, it's going to be a long process, but we are here with you.
Right now, we're going to show you a story from ABC7 anchor Jeff Butera. He found a handful of boats that came untethered during the storm near downtown Fort Myers and wound up in a pile.
This right here is a boat graveyard. I mean, that's what it is. I am standing next to Pincher's Marina in downtown Fort Myers. We came across 4 beautiful boats that Hurricane Ian just tossed around and then left in a clump. Again, I can see 4 from our vantage point, but at this point we're blocked from seeing the river itself, so we don't know how many more are back there. I talked to some people who live in a building nearby, 2nd floor. They said the folks on the 1st floor had to get out. There was too much water. They were worried about water on the 2nd floor, too. Thankfully, it didn't get into their floor. Here's Jen and Tim with what they saw, felt, and heard during Hurricane Ian. What was going through your mind as this was happening?
I was just worried about everybody getting in their house, not flying down the street.
Yeah, there's a giant rescue mission basically for people on the first floor. They were all panicking.
Yeah.
So they all went up to the 5th floor.
Yeah.
Probably spent the night.
What was the scariest part about it? Was it the water, the sounds, the wind?
Yeah, the wind.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What was your first thought when you came out to see what you saw this morning?
It's insane.
Tim is in the boating industry, and he says, conservatively, you are looking at $5 million worth of damage just lying out here. You're also looking at just a boatload of various things strewn about. Let me take you around. There's a chair from a boat. There's a door from a boat. You've got life vests from these boats. And then seemingly random things. There's some cleaner over there. Just a mess of damage and debris and wood from these boats that were at one point tethered to the marina, and that was the hope, was that they would stay tethered, but Hurricane Ian was way too strong for that. Reporting in downtown Fort Myers, I'm Jeff Butera, ABC 7 and NBC 2.
We should mention that the governor held a news conference, talked to reporters. He was in Charlotte County a short time ago. Charlotte County, you know, just assessing the devastation there, but he called it biblical, which is a frightening word to use. He promised that the state and the federal government were going to be there to help people, that they're focused right now on mostly air operations because the bridges are down. So they're still trying to get to people on the barrier islands, on Boca Grande, on Cayo Costa, God forbid somebody stayed there, on some of these barrier islands along our coast, Sanibel, Captiva, in case people need medical care or need to evacuate. So they're focused on Sanibel and Pine Island, and you know, they said they're going to be there for people. And the other point they're trying to do is get power restored.
And beyond just the emergency services, he made a special note to say what you need to do and not do when dealing with your insurance companies right now, because that is going to be the reality for a lot of people in our area. And he said, don't sign anything with these contractors, maybe they're licensed, maybe they're not, who are going to be swooping in like crazy in Southwest Florida and trying to get your money, not necessarily scam you, but they can really hold up the process of getting your claims and getting your money from your insurance company if you include them and sign. They have these waivers that you sign, and then they get to deal directly with the insurance company.
And they get the check. Yes,
and they have a lot of control over what happens with that money. That can really slow up the process. So just be careful.
And patient.
You're vulnerable right now. They know that. Just be careful who you're dealing with. Probably just want to call directly to your insurance company right now.
People are knocking on my door already. You know, 11 o'clock today, there were people knocking on my door. I think a lot of contractors looking for a quick buck are coming over from the other coast, and they're going through neighborhoods, and they're knocking on doors, and they're saying, I'll cut your trees down for $400.
Don't be surprised if that happens to you. And again, do not sign anything.
Ask for their license and make sure they're insured.
All right, let's bring in NBC2 meteorologist Rob Duns. And
we, of course, had a share of issues yesterday with connectivity, and I was going through some of our systems, and I stumbled across the last image that I was able to capture of Fort Myers Beach before the electricity went out. So, you know, we've been showing you what Times Square looks like, and it is bulldozed. So that was the last image we were able to capture from the top of the Diamond Head Resort last night before the power went out, and you've seen the
You have to put that side by side with the image that we have now, and perhaps really
it's just incredible what happened in our community here in the last 24 hours. But I would like to focus my time here to let you know, for the folks who are out trying to clean up the next several days here, what you're going to be getting into when it comes to the weather, because our weather is going to change quite substantially now in the next 24 hours. There's nothing for us to watch right now on First Alert Live Doppler radar because of the giant change in the air mass behind the departing hurricane. You know, this will likely reform into a hurricane as it moves toward the coast of South Carolina tomorrow. But it's this air mass here that's working in behind the hurricane that's bringing a much more stable air mass to South Florida and is going to help to squash rain opportunities opportunities for us, thankfully. Going forward then, throughout the night tonight and through the day tomorrow and throughout the upcoming weekend, thankfully our rain opportunities are quite low. For tonight, mostly clear skies. The winds still breezy though from time to time out of the northwest, gusting up to 22. Could repeat that, Keith? All right, so northwest winds between 10 and 15 knots overnight tonight with wind gusts up to 22 miles an hour. And again, a reminder that sunset tonight is at 7:20 in the evening. Tomorrow, sun comes up at 7:16 in the morning. And throughout the day, we're looking at warm and fairly humid weather, not summertime type humidity, but high temperatures topping out at 87 degrees. The winds relaxing further, though, out of the northwest between 10 and 15 miles per hour. With that, then, let me send things back over to Peter and Kelly.
Rob, thanks. We have Jack Ebel from FP&L on the phone with us right now because we know that you're wondering when your power might come back on. Jack, thank you so much for joining us here on NBC2 and ABC7.
Thank you, Peter.
And tell us, what's the status right now of power restoration in Southwest Florida?
So, Peter, very first and foremost, we want to say that our hearts go out to everyone impacted by this catastrophic hurricane. The devastation that daylight has shown us from Hurricane Ian has truly been a challenge to see. We want our customers to know that they have our full commitment. We have nearly 21,000 dedicated men and women from 30 states across the country who are going to work tirelessly to restore power safely and as quickly as possible. We've currently restored more than 750,000 customers across the state as of 4 p.m. That includes customers in Southwest Florida. We're really just urging our customers right now to keep safety at the forefront of everything that they do. And we're asking for our customers' patience as these crews work around the clock 24/7 to restore power.
I think one of the frustrating things for people is they don't know when it will be restored. And when you go onto your website, it doesn't give you a timeline. Hey, we're working in this neighborhood now. We're working here now. And I think that in past hurricanes, that's been a frustration. I know I didn't have power for 10 days after Hurricane Irma, and every day felt like a year. But if I maybe knew it was going to be 10 days, maybe my expectations would have been different. Is there a way that you're going to be able to communicate better with your customers about when their neighborhood might be able to get back online?
And Kelly, we understand that it's incredibly frustrating for customers not to have power here in Florida. We understand our customers are looking to make decisions for their families. We have an extensive workforce underway right now. That includes the assessment process that's underway in Southwest Florida. Our crews are facing a number of different challenges that can include excessive flooding, storm surge, downed trees, other debris. Safety is at the forefront of everything that FPL does, and we need to ensure that our crews can restore power safely before they can do so quickly. Power has essentially been restored to our customers in Southeast Florida. Now, we're also having effects of Hurricane Ian in Northeast Florida. So this is something that we're continuing to assess. We are seeing that after initial assessments, FPL's transmission system, which carries high voltage electricity from power plants to substations and is really the backbone of any electrical system, survived Hurricane Ian without losing a single transmission structure. So these are some of the things that we are assessing and making sure that are able to deliver power for our customers and making sure that conditions are safe for our crews to begin really diving in.
But once you do the assessment of all the damage, there's no way to kind of hone in and say, okay, today this area should have power, tomorrow this area, just so that people can kind of know what's coming?
And so, again, like I said, we understand that this is a really frustrating time for customers. We understand how difficult that this can be. We know that they want information as soon as possible. Every hurricane is different, and our goal is to make sure that we're able to provide our customers with the most accurate information as soon as possible. We always aim for an estimate in service areas that will be restored to 95% of customers within 24 hours of a storm leaving the area. This assessment process will take longer in Southwest Florida just because of the extensive challenges that our crews are facing, and those conditions are really going to cause an issue for our crews to safely move about. That's really why we're asking for our customers' patience. Many homes and businesses may have suffered extensive damage that makes them unable to safely accept power even after we've restored it. So there's a number of challenges facing our customers, and we're really just asking for their patience while our crews get ready to restore power safely and as quickly as possible.
So you can't, first of all, the linemen and your crews out in the field who leave their families and come into this, what looks like a war zone, we appreciate them so much. The men and women on the ground, boots on the ground, we appreciate those crews. Can you give us any time? Will it be a week, or will it be 2 weeks? Will it be months before everyone gets power back?
And that information is going to come as we further assess what has happened following Hurricane Ian. We have 38 staging sites located across the state, and that includes in Southwest Florida. And what those are strategic locations that we have placed our crews in to be in the areas that we expect the hardest hit areas about Hurricane, some of the hardest hit areas following Hurricane Ian. We've strategically located them in these positions so they can move safely and as quickly as possible once conditions allow them to do so. We will have estimates available for our customers in the coming days. That is something that is going to be ready when it is available, and we just appreciate our customers' patience while we continue to navigate these challenges.
I think a lot of our viewers are maybe using Irma as a point of reference. Hey, it took me 3 days to get power after Irma. Is that what I can reasonably assume will be the case this time? Is that reasonable, or have things changed with Irma, or how do you compare the storms from what you've seen so far with outages?
So every storm brings unique challenges for our crews. Like I said, we've restored power to approximately 750,000 customers across the state, and part of that is some of the investments that we've made in our energy grid. Our intelligent devices communicate to us where outages occur, and our smart switch devices allow us to restore power without having to roll a truck. Now, obviously, there's some extensive damage in Southwest Florida, and that's where our crews will need to be able to access safely. We're looking at a rebuild of the grid in some parts of Southwest Florida as opposed to just repairs. So that's something that we're really asking our customers for as we face these unique, we're asking for their patience with this unique challenge that Hurricane Ian has brought us.
Jack Ebel from FP&L.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and good luck to all of your staff out there. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Jack, thank you.
Life is full of ifs. If you see the potential in every day, if you push for that promotion, or if you say, I do. If you can cash flow like a pro, safeguard against surprises, and supercharge your savings, the if in life becomes less iffy. Regions Life Banking makes it possible. If you're interested.
Let's talk about the if in life. Regions Bank embrace the if in life.
Clive Daniel Home is something different. Our showroom experience is unlike anything you're going to see in any other store in any other market.
We're not just a furniture store. Interior design is what we're all about.
The idea of our showroom is to start the inspiration and give the designers the ability to create some incredible magic from there. We've never been afraid to try something different. It's led to our success, and it's why we celebrate our decade of design.
German engineering everyone can get into. Visit your Southwest Florida Volkswagen dealer today to learn more about our vehicle lineup.
Want to see what a storm looks like before it hits your neighborhood? With the 2View network at NBC-2.com, you can check out live weather conditions anywhere in Southwest Florida anytime. It's your first look at what's headed your way, making your plans weatherproof.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
We were showing pictures last night. Joining me now is Dr. Larry Antonucci, the head of Lee Health Systems. We were showing visuals last night, Dr. Antonucci, and I know, thank you for being here. Sure. It's been I know you were working till late into the night. You don't have power, do you?
No.
It's hot,
yeah,
and it's uncomfortable, and you have major health facilities that were under all the stress of this hurricane. What is the status of your health facilities right now?
Well, right now we have 2 of our hospitals that do not have running water, and that is our main challenge right now.
Health Park and
Gulf Coast. And obviously we cannot run a hospital.
How do you operate like that?
Yeah, we can't. That's really the bottom line. And not only do we need water for the routine things you can imagine, but it also cools our systems. Our air conditioners are water cooled. Our fire protection is important. We can't operate a hospital without a sprinkler system, and we just have no pressure to be able to do that. So we've been working with our regulatory agencies, and we've come to the decision that we have to evacuate those hospitals. We cannot keep patients in them. It's not safe.
So Health Park will be evacuated, and Gulf Coast Hospital will be evacuated,
right,
and those patients will go where? That's a massive undertaking.
It is a massive undertaking, and we're working with the Agency for Healthcare Administration to do that, to logistically get the ambulances here and move people. We've already arranged to move 400 into Collier County at NCH and Physicians Regional, and we're spreading them all over the state.
Cape Coral Hospital,
yeah,
or you are already at capacity
we're
within
already
your
at
system.
capacity within our system, but don't forget, within that is Golisano Children's Hospital, including 65 NICU babies that we have to move, and so it's an enormous undertaking.
Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. That is such a stress, because I know how much your staff cares for their patients, and just moving them can be life-threatening.
It is, and it has to be done correctly, and we're trained to do it, and we'll get it done. But it is, it's just it's an unbelievable situation, an unprecedented situation.
So if someone has an emergency, so have you been getting patients in from the storm, patients that were injured, hurt, etc.?
Yeah, one thing to remember is even when we do evacuate patients, we will still operate our emergency department. So if you have an emergency, come to the emergency room. We will stabilize you and then determine whether you need admission and send you to the nearest facility that we can find space. The Florida Hospital Association has been extremely helpful in identifying open beds around the state.
Hospitals.
Absolutely, and my colleagues around the state have been contacting me all day saying, how can we help?
So are you seeing an influx of people? Are you seeing people in the emergency room who are critically injured from this storm?
We're seeing a lot more activity in our emergency department. Don't forget now, EMS has only been operating for a handful of hours because they were off the road during the storm. But in the time since then, we're starting to see. Now, we haven't seen any critically injured patients that I've seen so far, but a lot of injuries, and we anticipate there will be more injuries. And after seeing the devastation from the air, we anticipate there will be significant injuries out there.
So if someone is in need of medical care, trauma care, emergency care, they will still be able to come to your facilities?
Absolutely, and something else that we're doing is we're making our Lee telehealth service free to the public. So go to the Lee Health website if you've got an internet access, and I know that's a challenge.
Or phone.
But if you do, service will be free. So if you have something that can be treated through that telehealth visit, you can avoid a trip to the ED.
What a hardship on these families who have a loved one in the hospital and they might have to go to Jacksonville or Tampa or...
I think the hardship of this event is we haven't even begun to imagine. When you think about our...
And you're not an alarmist. I've known you a long time.
No, but we have, our staff members that have been working now for 48 hours in the hospital are concerned about their families. We have, some of our leadership that haven't talked to their spouse in 2 days and they have no idea whether
they've lost their homes.
Yeah, and they've lost their homes, absolutely. And not to mention all the automobiles, too, that were lost.
Yeah, you had flooding at Health Park and you had flooding at Lee Memorial?
The flooding at Lee Memorial wasn't very bad. It was primarily at Health Park where we had to shut down the first floor And if you saw photos of the parking lot was
Dozens
under
of
4
cars
feet
were
of water.
lost of staff members,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah.
another loss for them. Cypress Cove is right across from you. It's elderly care, nursing care, a memory unit. What about those patients?
We've evacuated some of those patients to some of our other facilities, our outpatient facilities, actually.
Did it flood?
Yes. Well, I mean, it was in the same spot that Health Park was. So yeah, I didn't see the video of it, but I suspected there was flooding there.
You must have been so nerve-wracking seeing the water rising and knowing that you had so many people in your care yesterday.
You know, and what was interesting is our facilities really stood up well. But when we started to see the water pressures drop yesterday, it really made us very, very concerned. And then it just continued to drop. There's so many water main breaks in the community that they've got to address the water main breaks so they can get that pressure up. And it's going to take time.
Water main break. So there's a whole infrastructure. This isn't something like you can just flip a switch.
Right, exactly. And it's, after a storm like this, you see that. You see water main breaks. And when that happens, the pressure drops. And in a facility like ours, we need a certain amount of pressure, as I said, to run our coolers and to make sure we have adequate protection against fire.
Any idea how many patients are going to have to be evacuated?
We're anticipating 800 or so. Yeah.
800, including critically ill NICU babies.
Absolutely.
That need special carriers and ambulances to treat them.
And we have neonatal ambulances that we use to pick up babies.
We have a couple.
That's right.
To do this on a large scale, you've never done anything like this before.
No, and this is going to take a few days. This is not going to happen overnight. We can't move that many people safely, quickly. So, we're working everything that we can.
Coming off the pandemic, your staff being stressed, then this happening, your staff. Kudos to the nurses and the doctors and the staff members and, the janitors and the cleanup crews and the cafeteria people that show up to work every day. 2.5
years ago, I was here and we talked about the pandemic and our staff, and I said I couldn't be more proud. Well, I just got more proud. What they've done it's mind-boggling. And again, with the weight of not knowing how their own families were in their own homes.
Not being able to
and yet they're there taking care of patients. It's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's hope I don't have to have you in the studio again talking about another disaster.
I know.
Okay?
Yes.
You've been doing this too often lately. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. Larry Antonucci with Lee Health. Good luck to everybody on your staff and Godspeed.
Thank
you. We'll be right back.
Wells Fargo lets you know where you stand with your FICO credit score. What if you knew where you stood with everything, like your future in-laws?
Hope you like cats.
I hope your parents like me. They're whispering.
The kitties like her.
Can they tell I'm allergic? Tears of joy.
Welcome to the family.
Like knowing where you stand? When it comes to your credit score, you can with Wells Fargo.
Ready? It's happening now through Monday at Rooms to Go. Pick from 100 beautiful rooms, each under $1,500. Picture it, your home, fully furnished in your style, with living rooms under $1,500, dining rooms under $1,500, bedrooms under $1,500. So many stylish options, each under $1,500. And it gets better. Finance for $30 or less per month, interest-free for 50 months. Now through Monday at Rooms to Go.
I would describe myself as a fighter. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. For over 30 years, my fights have been against giants. I fight the powerful for the powerless, and our results speak for themselves. We have recovered billions and billions and billions of dollars for our clients. $1.2 billion in one case alone. I risk millions of dollars of my own money in case costs fighting these wrongdoers. If you want a fighter, you can count on me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people.
As severe weather continues to impact Southwest Florida,
We are by far not done with the threat of storm surge.
Count on NBC2 for the information you need to stay safe.
This situation is as dire as we all feared it might get.
The NBC2 First Alert Storm Team is tracking the storm, updating you with the latest conditions, and alerting you to every threat.
Just torrential rain continues to fall in these neighborhoods.
For continuous severe weather coverage, count on NBC2.
You are watching NBC2 and ABC7, our simulcast coverage of Hurricane Ian recovery. It's Jeff Butero alongside Megan Miller in the NBC studio as we continue to keep you updated on what's happening on a day that Southwest Florida will not soon forget.
Absolutely, and as we've seen, the daylight today has just revealed
devastating damage across our area, and we are working hard to get to all of those communities. I know we've shown you a lot of Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, devastation there. Pine Island is in a very tough situation right now as well. People can't get on and off that island.
And we also cannot get to certain places. I'm getting a lot of messages from viewers asking us to focus on certain areas across Southwest Florida, and we get it. We want to get everywhere that we can. Access is a difficulty at this point. Why don't we right now get you caught up to date on some of the headlines that we are covering right now at 5:09 here in Southwest Florida. I want to start with the situation with power, because I know a lot of you are without power, perhaps watching us on devices other than your television. So here's what I have from the Florida Public Services Commission. 2.7 million homes without power across the entire state of Florida. Here's some perspective. 24% of Florida is without power. 1 in 4 houses without power across the entirety of the state of Florida. Let's focus specifically on Southwest Florida. In Lee County, 88% of the homes without power. Collier County, 76% of the homes without power. Charlotte County, 89% of the homes without power. That's according to new numbers from the Florida Public Services Commission. FPL says they have 2 million customers that are impacted. At this point, 750,000 have been restored. 1.2 million have not. They've got more than 20,000 workers on this from 30 different states trying to get us back online.
Absolutely, and as they told us, no storm is the same. So I know a lot of people think back to Irma, and there's just, we can kind of think back to that as what could happen, but we're hoping the power comes back sooner. It could be longer. We will bring you any updates we get about that as soon as we get more information, but they are working on it. We just heard from Lee Health, if you're just now joining us, a very tough situation they're up against, having to evacuate about 800 patients is what the head of Lee Health told us, Dr. Larry Antonucci. Some of those patients are critically ill. Some are babies in the NICU. They are having trouble with their water system, and they need that to operate. So that is another major thing impacting our community right now, having to evacuate those patients to other areas as quickly as they safely can.
It's going to be a delicate operation, to be sure, but one I'm sure that they're going to do very carefully to try to protect these patients, and the idea is to get them to a better place so that care can be continued. President Biden has approved a major disaster declaration for Florida. This is something that the U.S. Senators from Florida, Rick Scott and Marco Rubio, as well as the congressional delegation, they were pushing for. The president approved that this morning. What that essentially does is it just unleashes federal funding to come into the state of Florida. It's red tape that has to be gone through so that some of that federal money can come into our state to help with relief and recovery. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came to Southwest Florida earlier today. He was in Charlotte County. He talked specifically about Sanibel and the devastation there and described it as biblical storm surge on Sanibel. Right now, we want to focus on Naples, a city that dealt with a lot of water issues yesterday. We, in particular, were watching some of the water come into hotels and resorts right along the coastline in Naples yesterday.
Yes.
We do want to keep you up to date on what's happening now, and for that, we're going to go to reporter Ryan Arbogast, who filed this report.
Hey guys, we're at the corner of Davis and Commercial right now. We pulled over off the road because of these pontoon boats that are littered throughout the highway. I just talked to the owner of the shop and the boats, and he says these were parked at his facility. And if you follow me over on the other side, you can see exactly where they were before. One's on this car in the budget rental car shop, and this entire lot is flooded with cars all the way up to the tires with no draining in sight right now. He told me he's even missing one of the boats. Reporting in Naples, Ryan Arbogast, NBC2.
And we have some breaking news to tell you about. We just got this into our newsroom. An update from Lee County. They are closing Big Hickory Pass Bridge due to damage from Hurricane Ian. Now, the closure of the bridge, which is on the south end of Estero Island, right between Fort Myers Beach and Bonita Beach, is effective immediately. During a bridge inspection today, engineers identified deficiencies leading to this closure. The Lee County Department of Transportation is working with the Florida Department of Transportation on this. updates will be available hopefully soon, and we will get them to you as soon as we hear anything.
And we're going to be here for you at Waterman Broadcasting as our continuing coverage of Hurricane Ian recovery continues right after this. Doing okay.
I'm Jay Gansey with Southwest Florida's home of Jay's Price, Cape Coral Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. During Jeep Adventure Days, get 0% on select new 2022 vehicles in stock and save thousands for the best price in Southwest Florida, period.
Perkins burger, fries, and pie combos are back, starting at just $10.99. Mix and match any of our 100% Angus beef burgers, like our barbecue Tangler burger, breakfast burger, and the all-new Smokehouse Bacon Double Cheeseburger. Served with crispy fries and a slice of any of our famous Perkins pies. And don't forget to order seasonal treats from our bakery, like our fresh-baked pumpkin pies and muffins. Order online at perkinstogo.com.
The radical left will destroy America if we don't stop them. They indoctrinate children, try to turn boys into girls. They allow illegal aliens and drugs to flood into our country. And if you speak out, they ban you on social media and they call you a racist. Congresswoman Val Demings is for all of this. She votes with Pelosi 100% of the time. I'm Marco Rubio, and I approve this message because I was raised by people who lost their country. I'm not gonna let us lose ours.
El Dorado Furniture is expanding, and we're celebrating with exclusive offers coast to coast. Enjoy a unique showroom experience and save on endless styles. Don't miss our grand opening celebration, online and at all El Dorado Furniture showrooms.
Back now on NBC2 and ABC7, it's Megan Miller alongside Jeff Butera, and we have breaking news, a couple of breaking news stories related to Hurricane Ian and the impact on Southwest Florida. We are going to start with an update on the human toll of this storm and unfortunately on lives lost.
Yes, so we just got word 2 more people have died because of Hurricane Ian. 2 deaths reported in Sarasota County. So that brings the total that we know of now to 9. There are 6 deaths confirmed in Charlotte County related to the hurricane, 1 in Volusia, 2 in Sarasota. Just absolutely heartbreaking. Unfortunately, as we were seeing what that storm was doing to our area, we feared what we would learn about lives lost. And my heart just goes out to anyone who is impacted so deeply by it. Because as we look at this damage, we can fix buildings. We can hopefully get new cars. I mean, I know for a lot of people that is an absolutely devastating situation too, to lose your property. But those lives lost, I mean, it is just breaks your heart.
It's something that stood out to me earlier as we were showing the aerial video of the damage across Southwest Florida. And because you are as high up as you are, it's almost like you are a little bit away from it and you forget the human toll that is down there. And this is a sobering reality of that human toll as we start to learn more about people who lost their lives to this storm. Again, at least 9 people, possibly more, but at least 9 at this point confirmed, including 6 from Charlotte County, just up the road from where we are in Fort Myers right now. There are some logistical issues moving forward, nothing near as important as the loss of life, but we do want to keep you up to date on that as well. FGCU has made an announcement about classes. FGCU is going to keep classes out through Wednesday of next week. So FGCU classes canceled through Wednesday of next week. They were already canceled through Friday. Now they are canceled through Wednesday. Also a small logistical thing related to waste management in Fort Myers. We just got an email into the ABC7 and NBC2 newsroom. Waste management at Fort Myers will resume its service on Monday, October 3rd. It's going to be garbage collection only, no recycling, no yard waste for the week of October the 3rd. Garbage collection only, restarting in Fort Myers on October the 3rd. That's upcoming Monday.
Well, do we want to get over to our chief meteorologist, John Patrick? He's over in our ABC7 studio. Hi, John Patrick. I haven't seen you in a while. It's weird to call you John. I always call you JP. Hey, JP.
Everybody calls me JP. It's fine. We don't have to be formal here. We're all family, right? So for the first time today, when I woke up, I was seeing the aerials of what has been going on, and it's just, it it really is heartbreaking to see all this. It really is, because we all have friends here. We've all got family here, and it's just, you know, we love this place so much. It's just really difficult to look at all that. So I found a camera here. This is actually the only camera that we still have working on the ABC 7 Neighborhood Weather Network that is showing us live in real time the Gulf of Mexico and without anything around it. This is Kalia Bay. And I want to point this out because the water is still high up the bay here. And that's going to continue until we can turn that wind direction to something other than onshore. We do have a little bit of good news as far as that is concerned within the next 24 hours. But the water is still incredibly high here at Kalia Bay. One piece of good news with our ABC 7 and NBC 2 live radar is that we don't have any rain. We're done with the rain. We're not going to have any more rain for several days. So that's going to be good for the flooded areas. Those waters can subside a bit, and we can turn the wind to a different direction other than onshore. That will allow some of the water that is still inland to make its way back out into the Gulf of Mexico. And, you know, the forecast weather-wise post-hurricane is working in our favor. And again, nothing in the 1 hour future here to show, so that's really good news. We have low humidity, so the weather is going to be comfortable for sleeping. I know a lot of people are without power, and there's going to be a little bit of a breeze this evening. It is going to actually start to turn more northerly as we get into overnight on into Friday. Overnight here, this is 1 o'clock in the morning. I know we usually don't talk about the wind overnight because everybody's sleeping in the air conditioner, but tonight a lot of people are going to be sleeping with the windows open, or at least trying to sleep with the windows open. We are going to see a northerly wind 1 o'clock in the morning. It's between about 8 and 12 miles per hour. So if you have northerly facing windows, pop those open and let that breeze come in, because with the lower humidity that we're having, we're going to feel pretty comfortable out there. And as we go through the day tomorrow, you'll notice that wind continues to be out of the north, with perhaps a slight turn to the north-northeast. If we can add an easterly component to the wind direction, that is going to help. Even though it's going to be a gentle wind, the wind direction will help let that water get back into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what we want. And as we go through the day on Friday, we're still going to keep it mostly northerly, but there is going to be a little bit of a breeze. Again, 8 to 12 miles per hour here heading into Friday evening around Naples and Marco Island. 10-mile-an-hour wind. You get a little bit deeper inland. It's about 4 to 8 miles per hour. But it's going to be that comfortable little breeze that you're going to need to stay comfortable with the windows open trying to sleep over the next several days. Friday at 8 p.m., same thing. It's a northerly wind for the most part, about 4 to 8 miles per hour. A little bit higher, about 8 to 10 or so out by the coastline. And then as we get into Saturday, look what happens. Remember I said we really need to turn this wind some sort of easterly direction? That's going to start to happen on Saturday. So now we'll allow that water that's piled up to make its way back into the Gulf of Mexico. And this is wonderful news as far as that storm surge. It can more easily recede back into the Gulf of Mexico during the day on Saturday. So we're going to transition from more of a northwesterly, westerly wind that we have right now to the offshore direction from the east, and that's going to be great to allow that water to get back out into the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the temperature regime. The upper 70s out there as we get into this evening, dropping into the low 70s by 10 o'clock tonight, even the upper 60s inland, and a good chunk of southwest Florida is going to drop down into the low and mid 60s inland overnight. Upper 60s and low 70s out here toward the beaches. So sleeping tonight is going to be comfortable because we have that little bit of a breeze. Decent temperatures right through the morning, and during the day tomorrow should get into the mid 80s tomorrow afternoon as we get to 11 o'clock, right around 80. So it's going to be very comfortable as those cleanup efforts continue. I was outside this afternoon, I had some tree branches and stuff, and you know, the chainsaws are out. Those efforts are going to have some good weather in which to continue. So that's good news. And the comfort factor, as I mentioned, is going to be pretty high. As we get into this evening, dew points are in the 60s. They drop, especially inland. They could drop into the upper 50s, which will make that temperature and that little bit of a breeze even more comfortable out there. Dew points are going to stay right around the mid 60s. It's not until we get that dew point to above 70 or higher, that's when it starts to feel muggy. We're going to stay below that number for the next several days, which is really, really good. as the power gets restored and more people can start using their air conditioners again, that will be good news. But until that starts to happen, it looks like right through Saturday, we're going to keep those dew point numbers pretty comfortable, and that's certainly some good news. We're going to stay mainly clear overnight. As I mentioned, we don't have any rain out there right now. We don't have any rain worries really over the next 7 days. We're going to see mostly sunny conditions right through Tuesday. Temperatures right around 86, 87 for high temperatures, about 70, even a little less than that for overnight low temperatures. We may be able to squeeze out a shower on Wednesday and a little bit of a better chance on Thursday, but fairly dry conditions. Again, great for the water trying to recede, make its way out into the Gulf of Mexico, and for cleanup efforts. Okay, Jeff, you want to ask me something? Go for it.
Hey, JP. First of all, some breaking news. Hurricane Ian is Hurricane Ian again. It has now been upgraded to a Category 1 storm, but it is across the state and not something that we have to worry about. But it is still active, and it's still out there, so other people are going to have to keep their eyes on it. My question for you, JP, is this. When we see aerial video of the damage across Southwest Florida, as a layman, it's mind-boggling, it's jaw-dropping, it's heartbreaking. I'm curious about your perspective as a weather expert. What stands out to you from a weather perspective about what this storm has done to our community?
This is storm surge that I don't think Southwest Florida has ever seen before because, for example, with Irma, it tracked pretty much right up the middle of Southwest Florida. So Everglades City and Marco Island, and I remember storm surge in Naples, not to the extent that we're seeing with this storm, but it was confined to Collier County for the most part. This storm surge, Everglades City, I saw that video from Everglades City yesterday, and that to me looks almost, if not as bad as what they saw with Irma, because in Everglades City, it went up to about here on the first floor of City Hall. And if you know City Hall there in Everglades City, it's elevated. So they had about 9 feet of storm surge. So it came all the way across town. They have 2 towers there in the middle of town in the roundabout. And then there's a museum on one side of the circle and the City Hall's on the other side of the circle that came all the way across town and probably up those steps again. And as they were showing me the watermarks around town, I was down there about a month or so ago for a story we did on our hurricane special on ABC7. They were showing me the watermarks, and this storm surge looked about the same. And that wasn't even the worst of the storm surge. That was the worst in Irma. I mean, it appears to me that the worst is around Fort Myers Beach and Sanibel with this storm. And I mean, you know, it was going into second-story levels of people's homes. I mean, this is something I don't think we've seen here before. And it's just, it's heartbreaking and it's jaw-dropping all at the same time to see these aerial pictures the day after. I mean, I woke up, I started crying here on the air just looking at that stuff. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
It is. All right, JP, thank you very much. That's our chief meteorologist at ABC7, John Patrick. JP, we'll talk to you soon. We do want to continue to show you different parts of Southwest Florida. I know we've been getting a lot of messages. We'd like to see here, we'd like to see there. We're trying to get everywhere and try to show you everything we can as we continue our coverage here at ABC7 and NBC2. Be right back.
I'm Jay Gansey with Southwest Florida's home of Jay's Price, Cape Coral Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. During Jeep Adventure Days, get 0% on select new 2022 vehicles in stock and save thousands. For the best price in Southwest Florida, period.
Perkins burger, fries, and pie combos are back, starting at just $10.99. Mix and match any of our 100% Angus beef burgers, like our barbecue tangler burger, breakfast burger, and the all-new Smokehouse Bacon Double Cheeseburger. Served with crispy fries and a slice of any of our famous Perkins pies. And don't forget to order seasonal treats from our bakery, like our fresh-baked pumpkin pies and muffins. Order online at perkinstogo.com.
The radical left will destroy America if we don't stop them. They indoctrinate children, try to turn boys into girls. They allow illegal aliens and drugs to flood into our country. And if you speak out, they ban you on social media and they call you a racist. Congresswoman Val Demings is for all of this. She votes with Pelosi 100% of the time. I'm Marco Rubio, And I approve this message because I was raised by people who lost their country. I'm not gonna let us lose ours.
Eldorado Furniture is expanding, and we're celebrating with exclusive offers coast to coast. Enjoy a unique showroom experience and save on endless styles. Don't miss our grand opening celebration online and at all Eldorado Furniture showrooms.
Severe weather continues to impact Southwest Florida.
This situation is as dire as we all feared it might get.
Just torrential rain continues to fall in these neighborhoods.
For continuous severe weather coverage, count on NBC2.
Hi there, we're back now with our coverage of the recovery efforts after Hurricane Ian has devastated Southwest Florida. I'm Megan Miller, an ABC7 anchor, here with ABC7 anchor Jeff Butera as we continue our joint coverage with our sister station NBC2. And we're going to get you out to Sanibel to check in with NBC2's Kyla Gaylor. If you're just now joining us and haven't seen this, it's a lot to take in. The Causeway Bridge has collapsed. Multiple parts are falling into the water or covered by water. People are on that island desperate to get help. Families are desperate to hear from their loved ones there. So let's check in with Kyla. Hi, Kyla. How is it out there?
Well, I will say activity seems to have picked up in terms of search and rescue crews. I'll get to that in just a moment. But I do just want to point out again the destruction I'm standing behind. If you're listening in, I'm standing behind a huge piece of the side of the bridge that has collapsed into the water. Sand is covering it, concrete everywhere. And this is just one of many pieces that is now in the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, you're looking at search and rescue crews over here, a lot of FWC agents. They have been out on the water all day trying to rescue people, because when I talked to one of the agents, they told me as many as 1,200 people were trapped after the bridge collapsed. Let's pull up some video we shot earlier. You can see some of those rescues. You see one with an American flag on it. We've seen a number of helicopters out here, including the Coast Guard. I've seen LCSO, and I also just recently saw the National Guard, and I saw National Guard troops as well. So they are trying to get as many people off of this island as possible. Here's the problem they're running into. FWC told me once they get to the island on the boats, then what? They have no way of getting around. They need ATVs, they need side-by-sides, but right now their boats aren't big enough. So at last check, which was about maybe an hour ago, 2 hours ago at this point, they were trying to get bigger boats here to bring onto Sanibel so they could bring their side-by-sides or ATVs with them. Right now, I think you're probably looking at some drone video. This is new drone video that our chief photojournalist Sebastian just shot recently, and you can see, like I mentioned, it's multiple parts of this bridge. That is why it is so dire and why the recovery process will be extremely long. One piece of the bridge, I believe it's the C part, is just totally wiped out. It's underwater. I mean, that just puts into perspective the storm surge that this area saw. It was tall enough, big enough, strong enough to knock out these bridges that normally withstand a lot of stuff. You know, we do live in Florida. We have gnarly weather pretty frequently, but nothing like we.
You know, I'm feeling a little uneasy, but I have faith in God that everything's going to be okay. Their house is built up on pilings, so it should have gotten away from some of that storm surge, and it's built to the highest building codes. So, you know, just going to keep my fingers crossed and have faith.
We were in the stairwell for a little bit with the dogs, and the dogs are freaking out. There's water coming in the stairs, and we just knew we had to get out of there. And all the doors are rattling. It was just a very traumatizing experience. I've never been through anything like this.
Sorry, my mic cut out there. I was trying to explain who those two gentlemen were. The first man you heard from, he came here looking for his family because they live on Sanibel, his elderly parents and his sister, and he hadn't heard from them since the eye of the storm passed over their house, and their roof was ripping off, water was rushing in. So at last check, he was looking for them. I haven't been able to connect with him again because I don't have service. So when I leave the island, I'm going to reach out and see if he was able to find his family. The second gentleman you heard from, he rode out the storm. storm, kind of right near where I'm standing right now, and he lost his truck, lost a lot of valuables, so he's now staying with family. I also saw FDOT out here just a little while ago, some bridge inspectors. They told me this will take at least a couple months to fix, at least. And in the meantime, that means nobody can get on or off the island. So the only option for that would be a ferry. So that's something that, you know, would be pretty expensive, but that the state would have to look into in the counties to figure out how to do. Right now, I want you to also look all the way across the Gulf to Sanibel. I want you to take a good look at the skyline. I don't know how much you can see from where our camera is pointed, but can you tell the trees have no leaves on them? The skyline to me looks extremely flat except for just the sticks of the trees sticking out. You can tell a storm has hit this area. You guys, Jeff and Megan, were talking earlier about how Governor Ron DeSantis said biblical storm surge hit Sanibel. And from where I'm standing, it certainly looks like that. The good news is you saw those rescue boats, you saw those crews. They're working hard to get more people off the island. So, you know, if they say about 1,200 were stuck, that was a rough estimate, and that was a while ago. I have seen many boats, many helicopters, so I'm hoping that they have been able to find as many survivors as they can. But it is a very difficult process because they are limited in mobility once they get there. They need those ATVs, they need those side-by-sides because that's really going to help them get to more people, find more people, especially if anybody is hurt over there. You can actually see some of the helicopters happening right now behind me. If Sebastian's going to zoom in. That one looks like it's possibly the Coast Guard helicopter, but I did see another National Guard just shortly ago, and that one looked even bigger. So hopefully that means they've been able to rescue even more people, because that is what everybody wants to know, considering a lot of people haven't been able to get in touch with survivors over there. That's the biggest concern. For now, I'll send it back to Jeff and Megan in the studio.
All right, Kyla, thank you very much. Kyla Gaylor from Sanibel Causeway, showing us a helicopter, giving us an example of the possibility of search and rescue crews that have started. One other thing that you saw during Kyla's live shot there was the Sanibel Lighthouse. There was a time this afternoon where there were concerns that the lighthouse was not there anymore. Thankfully, that turned out to be false, and we have confirmation of that from the live shot. As you continue to look at that chopper that is just hovering above the trees on Sanibel. Again, we don't have confirmation as to what that chopper is doing there, but something we've been watching for the last couple of minutes.
Right, and I believe now we do have some video to show you of what we're seeing on Sanibel. So you can see there are many buildings still standing, but with damage. And I can only imagine the water that's inside some of those buildings, especially that one doesn't look as high up from what I can tell. But widespread damage, I mean, roofs heavily damaged, pool cages, lanais flipped in, boats on top of each other. There you're seeing some more roof damage, and another look at the causeway, which is just heartbreaking to see. And I mean, as Kyla mentioned, it's stood up for a long time through some storms, but this one I feel like really just measures the intensity of Hurricane Ian there. The road just buckled into the water.
Well, the old proverb is, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I think our video is worth 1,000 words, and quite frankly, I think it's hard to put into words what we're seeing and what we're able to show you at this point. That happened to the causeway. The description that I gave earlier, a metaphor, if you will, was it was like somebody turned it into a puzzle piece and they ripped off half of the puzzle piece because it's just jagged as you see the portions that have been falling away. Kyla even talked about 1 o'clock this afternoon, there were still portions of the causeway that were falling away, that were hanging by a thread and then giving way as they would fall off. We're continuing to show you aerials. I believe this is from Sanibel. Is that correct, Keith?
Yes, that's Sanibel.
Yes.
I believe we saw Sundial Resort there. I mean, again, these are people's homes. There are people on that island, people who don't have jobs all around Southwest Florida to return to, or homes to return to. Just some real devastation, a place that's very special to people near and far. This is our community, this is our life, and we will continue to show you as much video of different areas as we can as well. Speaking of that, I believe we do have some video of Matlacha to show you, an area we are deeply, deeply concerned about as well. It has just taken us a little longer to get information and video for you of this area.
But a similar situation, because these roads are impassable at this point, and the road that leads from Matlacha over to Pine Island, it's the one-way in, one-way out. You have to go through Matlacha to get over to Pine Island, Bokeelia, St. James City, and we are hearing stories of people who are essentially stuck because of that one road, one way in, one way out. They can't get through it. I'm going to give you an example. A friend of mine that I went to college with just wrote me a message. She wanted to reach out. She said that she was talking to a friend of hers. His wife's family lives there on Matlacha. They haven't heard from them in 24 hours. Not sure if you've heard of any search and rescue resources, but they're just trying to reach out to do anything that they can to try to reach their family. There's multiple situations at play that are impacting the ability to reach some of these people, both reach them physically and reach them on the phone. Cell service is a major issue across Southwest Florida, which we can speak to from firsthand knowledge. We're having difficulties getting phone calls out from our newsroom. And then beyond that, it's the visual that we're showing in the box right next to Megan and I, where you realize that driving a car is not possible to get to these areas, to Matlacha, and to Pine Island.
Right, and of course there are a lot of people we're concerned about, and you can see just some glimpses there of the damage. I mean, even for those folks who did get off of Pine Island, hopefully they're able to return sometime soon, but a lot of them, it looks like they won't have homes to go back to, or their homes that they will go back to if they are still there are very destroyed. A lot of businesses destroyed there too. Again, a lovely little fishing town and community, and a lot of people depended on those places too. It's just a lot.
We want to show you a different perspective from a different part of Florida that we haven't seen a lot from, and that's Hardee County. Hardee County is one of our inland counties. It's in the heartland of Florida. It's basically northeast of the majority of our viewing area. It's almost due north from Fort Myers, but more inland of the coast. And we're seeing some flooding video from Hardee County with water up to roofs. Now, when we talked to meteorologist Sammy Squires earlier today, she talked about the significant amount of flooding that was in Venice, Florida, which is also to our north. So don't discount the reality that Hurricane Ian, as much damage as it did along the coast of Florida, along the west coast, it has done significant damage and caused significant problems for the inland portion of our area as well. Hardee County is where you would find Wauchula, for example. It is just to the west of Sebring, Florida. And look at this video. Look at where the water is. You're basically just seeing the tippy tops of roofs at this point. And that's it. We don't have an exact sense of, is this a neighborhood? But I have to imagine that it is. And you can see where that water line is. That can't be good.
Not at all. Just devastating to see the impacts all around this area. We will be right back after a short break. We'll be sticking with you through the recovery efforts after Hurricane Ian.
Modern Brothers Furniture is here to help you create the vision you've been dreaming of for your whole home. Save up to 40% off furniture, take an extra 20% off accessories, and enjoy 12 months of interest-free financing. Modern Brothers Furniture, the furniture family you can depend on.
Junk sleep is a slippery slope, America. What'll it be?
I'm good. How are you?
Go see the sleep experts at Mattress Firm. They train over 200 hours to find the perfect mattress for you. Unjunk your sleep at Mattress Firm.
Life is full of ifs. If you see the potential in every day, if you push for that promotion, or if you say, I do. If you can cash flow like a pro, safeguard against surprises, and supercharge your savings, the if in life becomes less iffy. Regions Life Banking makes it possible. If you're interested.
Let's talk about the if in life. Regions Bank embrace the if in life.
Dr. Mehta knows pain.
Oftentimes, I see patients with pain in their knees, their hips, their back, and
it's actually coming from their feet.
Her suggestion?
It's as easy as going into a Good Feet store.
Come in for your free arch support fitting.
After a crash, you need an experienced attorney in your corner. Insurance companies will try to settle for as little as possible. They'll use every excuse to avoid paying a valid claim. At Farah & Farah, we'll fight their excuses with facts.
Now that the storm has passed, you may be without power. Rest assured, crews are doing their best to get power restored to everyone as soon as possible. Stay tuned to NBC2 for updates on where they're working now and where you can expect power next, keeping your plans weatherproof.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
Hi, everyone. We're back now with our continued team coverage of Hurricane Ian recovery efforts. Right now, you're looking at power crews working to restore power in Fort Myers. This is new video we just got. We know a lot of you are wondering when is the power going to come back on, or if you are listening to this and have family members without power, wondering about this. So again, crews are working hard to restore that power. Jeff, I know you've been dialed in to FPL efforts, and is there anything you wanted to touch on before we move on?
Well, here is the update in terms of power outages. You're looking at power outages on the map that we're showing you right here, and that's spread out by county. I can also tell you the Florida Public Service Commission is saying 2.7 million houses across Florida are without power. That's 24% of Florida, basically 1 in 4 houses. To give you a magnitude when it comes to our Southwest Florida counties, the Florida Public Services Commission is reporting 88% of the houses in Lee County are without power. 76% of the houses in Collier County without power. 89% of the houses in Charlotte County without power. I've talked to FPL. I've talked to their spokespeople. They're saying that the damage from Hurricane Ian is significant enough that some of their system has to be rebuilt. It is not just a power restoration. It's a rebuilding of the system itself to try to get power back. They have already restored power, FPL has, to 750,000 people, but patience is going to happen. 21,000 workers on this from 30 different states. If Irma was a guide, there were some people in Southwest Florida that were without power for 7 to 10 days. Some of my coworkers here at ABC7 and NBC2 were without power for 7 to 10 days. I was one of the lucky people who didn't lose power during Hurricane Irma. We don't have power at my house in Fort Myers right now, though. But patience is going to be key because this is going to be a big job.
That is right. So let's see. Next, I think we want to get out again to Matt Lachey. Again, we have a dire situation happening all over Pine Island, and there's several communities there, Bokeelia, Matt Lachey, St. James City. And, you know, we've told you the road's impassable, and I was just checking to see what we have confirmed about that. We know that bridges failed, and we're seeing some images coming in that show the bridge from Matt Lachey to Little Pine Island appears to be out. And then, I mean, even to get to Pine Island, that road is impassable.
Well, in some cases, we are just dealing with a situation where you're talking about necessities being put in peril by what's going on. People don't have power, people don't have water, and even transportation just to get around and get to the places they need to go, they can't do it. And that's an example of what we're seeing in the Matt Lachey area, and we want to get you more and give it over to our reporter, Sarah Metz, who can add some perspective from on the ground at Matt Lachey.
Hi, everyone. Sarah Metz here. I am right at the edge of Matt Lachey. I want to let you know that right now, the line behind me, as you can see, first responders are not even getting across the bridge to Matt Lachey. Take a look at all these people waiting in line right here. I spoke to some of them who say their homes are on the other side. Homes in Bokeelia, homes in Matt Lachey, that they don't know if they're okay right now. They just want to check out their homes, and they're stuck in this line. And actually, at the end of the line over here, there are LCSO deputies standing there turning people back around. They're not letting anyone through. The bridge is down. I had the fire station tell me that they wanted me to tell you that you cannot get to your homes right now on Matt Lachey or Bokeelia. You cannot get over the bridge. The bridge is closed. We're not sure what that damage looks like right now. We're working to get you that information, but as of right now, all these people, they're being turned right back around, and they are so concerned about what lays on the other side of the bridge. I spoke to 2 people inside their car waiting in this line, asking me if they can put their boat in the water just to get to their home in Bokeelia and see if their neighbors who decided to stay are okay.
I want to see if I can launch my boat tomorrow at D&D to get over and see what we have left of our house.
How upsetting is that to say?
Just a wee bit. Oh, well, we've got a neighbor that stayed, but we haven't been able to communicate with them. That's the biggest problem, that there's no communication, so you don't really know what's going on. Once you know what's going on, then you can make some plans, but until you know what's going on.
Again, the fire station, the Lee County Sheriff's Office, everyone wants me to let you know the Matt Lachey Bridge right now is closed. You cannot get to Matt Lachey. You cannot get to Bokeelia. Please avoid this area for the time being. We have people turning around. It's getting a little dangerous and a little hectic out here. Please, if you can, stay home. I mean, look, we have people driving on the wrong side of the road right now just so that they could turn around and get out of here safely. Please stay home if you can. Be safe. Reporting from Matt Lachey, Sarah Metz, NBC2.
Sarah, thank you very much. We're going to stay in that area and show you a couple of things. This is the Bokeelia, St. James City, Pine Island, Matt Lachey area. Kevin Russell sent in this picture of the road to Pine Island. He says people on Pine Island are stranded. As you can tell, this is a picture that was taken this morning. The road to the mainland is out. That is still the case. Not a good situation right now. And speaking of not a good situation, let's look at St. James City.
Wow. So now you're looking at a fire in Flamingo Bay on St. James City, in St. James City rather. And we've seen, it's just a wild scene to look at. I mean, there's water everywhere. There's fire in a lot of places around our communities. It's just a tough situation. I mean, we've said it a few times, but these emergency responders just haven't been able to get to some of these spots to even try to put those flames out. A very difficult situation for them. They want to help, of course. They have families that they're concerned about as well. And there you're seeing a fire. We don't know the cause of it, but again, there's a lot of risk right now with power lines down, things sparking. Just a really difficult mix of problems.
St. James City is such a close and tight-knit community. We have some good family friends who have a home there, and it's real tough to see this. You know, our community is different than like the other coast, where the big cities, we're kind of a small town feel. We all kind of look after one another, even though we are kind of a big growing environment. So this is real tough, and then we're just continue to scratch the surface of these new images that are coming out of these fires that are breaking out. It's just impossible, or very, very difficult, I guess one could say, for first responders to get to these things. So, yeah, heaven forbid the winds keep going here, but like you saw with that fire in St. James City, it looked like the breeze was certainly moving. Being closer to the coast, there's less resistance over the water, so the winds would be stronger up against these coastal areas. A few things I wanted to address for the folks who are working on cleanup here tonight. I wanted to look, one of the active tower cams we do have is from the top of the live Doppler radar. Looking down on some of these battered trees, I wanted to stress that make sure you are using a lot of caution here tonight and throughout the day tomorrow and the day after. You know, a lot of these big trees here, they have had a lot of snapped limbs, and it may not take much for these limbs that are just holding on to completely fall down. So please make sure you use a lot of caution here, most especially over the next few days here in the early hours of this tragedy, to make sure that you're keeping safe. Temperature-wise, thankfully the air mass behind the hurricane's much different. You know, our numbers have actually backed off into the upper 70s in some communities, and as my colleague JP showed you, the dew point, or the humidity numbers are lower as well. That's also helping to give us a dry radar picture, as nothing's popping up right now on First Alert Live Doppler radar, thanks in part to this. A big dry air mass has been able to work in from the western side of this hurricane, and as what is again Hurricane Ian moves to the north and eventually heads toward South Carolina, This dry and stable air mass that's working in behind it should help to squelch rain opportunities going forward. So again, as the drier air works in, the rain opportunities move away. And thankfully, for all the folks who are dealing with roof issues, we don't have to be concerned about a return of big downpours and thunderstorms, at least for the next few days. So for tonight, mostly clear skies, temperatures dropping down to 71 degrees, a bit of a breeze, and mostly in our coastal zones. You saw like that our reporter Sarah Metz reporting from Matlacha how strong the winds were being picked up over the top of the microphone. You know, closer to the coast where these issues are worst, we could still have gusts in excess of 20 miles an hour, but for the majority of the area, we're looking at northwest winds between 10 and 20 miles per hour. The sun sets tonight, by the way, at 7:20. So if you're without electricity and you're listening to us over the radio, sun goes down at 7:20. Be very difficult to drive around after dark, of course. So keep that time in mind. And then for tomorrow, the sun rises at 7:16 in the morning. So before that, again, relatively dark, of course. And then once we get after 7:16, we should be at least getting some sunshine as the weather forecast looks fair tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies expected throughout the entire day. Rain chances stay less than 20%, and again, northwest winds between 10 and 15 miles per hour. I do want to note, though, that it will still be warm. Our high temperatures will again be topping down in the upper 80s. We're going to go with 87 for the high tomorrow, and there will be somewhat of a humidity factor in the afternoon. So it's not going to feel like the middle of dry season, even though we've got this big dry air mass trailing the hurricane and moving over top of the area. Here's a look at the wind speed forecast for tomorrow, and for the folks who are listening over the radio, again, a light breeze out of the north, helping to keep that relatively comfortable air mass in place, and that stays with us throughout the afternoon on Wednesday as well. And thankfully, again, rain chances stay low, again, trending less than 20% throughout the day on Wednesday. There is, again, one last look at Ian as it departs Florida, moving to the state of South Carolina. And here's a look at the 7-day forecast. Again, thankfully for recovery efforts, rain opportunities stay low all the way through the weekend into early next week, as high temperatures in the afternoon hours will consistently be topping out in the mid and upper 80s.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. As millions flock to the metaverse, many are experiencing unnecessary pain and suffering, terrible car crashes, frightening trip and falls, and on-the-job injuries. Our army of over 800 attorneys and 4,000 support staff have recovered billions for clients just like you. Injured? Just dial #law. That's all. Morgan & Morgan, America, and now the universe's largest injury law firm.
That's a pretty tight spot.
Watch this.
Your Buick Parks it so. That's so you.
Of course you know where we're going. That's so you.
Kinda got a 6th sense.
And a head-up display.
They're here.
You brought all these players in your Buick?
Yeah.
So you.
It is.
At the heart of every Buick SUV is you. Pay no interest on Buick SUV models. Buick, ranked #1 brand in the industry for new vehicle quality.
Your AC breaks down. You stand in front of the open fridge just to take the edge off. Ice cream melts, shorts out the compressor, power surge trips the breaker, triggers a statewide blackout so big they name it after you. Now, best case scenario, you call Best Home Services. So many specialized technicians, we have a total disaster fixing AC expert. We fix your old unit and it works great. You stay refreshed, ice cream stays frozen, and your kids think you're the coolest dad ever. You know, for now. GetBest.com. Best case scenario.
Eldorado Furniture is expanding, and we're celebrating with exclusive offers coast to coast. Enjoy a unique showroom experience and save on endless styles. Don't miss our grand opening celebration online and at all Eldorado Furniture showrooms.
Severe weather continues to impact Southwest Florida.
This situation is as dire as we all feared it might get.
Just torrential rain continues to fall in these neighborhoods.
For continuous severe weather coverage, count on NBC2.
Back now on ABC 7 and NBC 2, it's Megan Miller alongside Jeff Butera. We've got a couple of very brief updates. Just in case they pertain to you, we wanted to mention them. First of all, we just got word the Naples airport will reopen tomorrow at 8 a.m. They're going to operate dawn to dusk, but they are running on what they call a prior permission required model. So you'd have to call ahead, get prior permission to utilize that airport, opening up again at 8 a.m. tomorrow. For the people who live in the city of Naples, the water treatment plant is operational there. The boil water notice, a precautionary one, remains in effect. But here is a new note from the city. They're asking people, don't run your sprinklers, don't run dock water lines if you have them, because they're trying to conserve what they can. Here is a brief note about schools. We've been trying to update you on all the different county districts, as well as charter schools. The note from Oasis Charter Schools, they're going to be closed on Friday. In case that was information you did not have, we just got word Oasis Charter Schools closed on Friday.
That's right. Now we want to get out to Naples, another area that we've been trying to get more information and visuals about for you. So we have our Ryan Arbogast, who is out there. I believe he's at the Naples Pier, destroyed by Hurricane Ian. It's still standing, but it's going to need some serious work if it'll ever be used again. So let's get right out to Ryan to show us what Ian did to this Naples gem.
Guys, I want you to take a look at the damage right now at the Naples Pier. We're right on the beach, and when you look all the way down at the side that's facing the open ocean, you can see it's essentially gone. Waves have crashed over it and ripped those pieces to shreds. And as you go further and further along the pier, it doesn't get much better. Guardrails pulled off, wood chunks everywhere, debris flying, and the worst part of it all, as you go all the way down to the front of the pier here, you can see a massive tree that's in the way, crashing down onto the beach access point. Guys, this is going to take a long time to repair. We don't even know when that's going to be. Reporting in Naples, Ryan Arbogast, NBC2.
Brian, thank you very much. The Naples Pier did suffer significant damage, particularly to the end of the Naples Pier. But it's there, and repair work can happen, to be sure. Work is continuing here at NBC2 and ABC7 as we have our reporters spread out, just trying to get eyes on the damage that they can see across Southwest Florida and bring it to you. We'll continue that when we return here from Waterman Broadcasting.
Just outside of a town called Basic is Basic Lake, where families gather together for some basic fun. And if you have the 2022 Nissan Rogue with a VC turbo engine and 5 drive modes, you can climb above Basic and find a trail where no one else goes. The 2022 Nissan Rogue. Anything but basic.
Get 1.9% financing for 36 months on 10 models. Like Rogue, with best-in-class fuel economy.
Our middle son left to go to work, and a twice deported illegal ran into him and he killed him. This is what happens when we have open borders. We were able to go and meet with Governor DeSantis. He said, I want to hear your son's story. And to see the compassion in his eyes, he wanted to make sure other lives were protected. He's been very strong on safety. He's been very strong on law and order. He has made our state one of the safest states to be in. There's no greater leader than Governor DeSantis.
Stop. If you ain't shopping at Blockers Furniture Direct, you're making a mistake. So come on in and discover the difference.
With a wide selection of Lazy Boys,
Lexington and Tommy Bahama,
Flexdale Upholstery,
Sealy, Posturepedic.
So come on in and discover why you should make Blockers Furniture Direct your ultimate destination for home furnishings.
For over 45 years, you've counted on us for the lowest prices on quality furniture. Right, Daddy?
Right, baby. Folks, this just ain't worth driving to North Carolina anymore.
You know summer isn't summer without a few storms. But when severe weather threatens Southwest Florida, you know you can count on the NBC2 First Alert Storm Team. These are your weather experts, tracking every storm around the clock with First Alert Live Radar and alerting you instantly on the NBC2 Weather app. It's why Southwest Florida counts on the NBC2 First Alert Storm Team.
Good evening, and thank you for watching NBC2 and ABC7. I am ABC7 anchor Megan Miller alongside ABC7 anchor Jeff Butera. We have joined our forces at NBC2 and ABC7, we're two sister stations here in Southwest Florida, bringing you the latest on recovery efforts after Hurricane Ian. Just a devastating situation for us here in Southwest Florida. Widespread damage across our communities, and we're tracking some breaking updates regarding Ian for you now.
I want to thank you for watching. We hope you're doing okay. We hope the last couple of days have been okay for you. It's been a rough time for our community. We do want to get you caught up on some of the headlines happening now, hopefully things that can help you with what's going on with this storm. I know for many of you that means power issues. We continue to monitor that situation. FPL is telling us that they have crews, 21,000 crew members from 30 different states working on restoring power. It is a big job ahead We are talking about at least 75% of the power off in all 3 major counties across Southwest Florida, as much as 89% of the customers in Charlotte County for FPL, actually all customers without power, according to the Florida Public Services Commission. The crew members are on it. To give you an anecdotal example, we just got word from people in San Carlos Park that the power was back on. That came in about 4:20 this afternoon. We just got an email in the last 3 minutes. The power is now back off again. So restoration efforts are happening, but it is going to be a difficult road ahead when it comes to electricity.
Absolutely. A lot of people dealing with uncomfortable conditions, dangerous conditions, not having access to water. Again, almost all of Southwest Florida, if not all, is under a boil water advisory. Some of our cities and our communities have confirmed they do have issues. Others are doing this as a precaution. But again, it is not safe to drink your tap water right now. And a lot of people are dealing with unlivable conditions in their homes. So as you start to get to a point where you can get out of your homes, there are shelters available. We want to make sure you know that across our area, there are still shelters open and can take more and more people as of last check. Hertz Arena is probably the biggest one. They can hold quite a few people there. So if you or someone you know needs help, do not be afraid to seek shelter. We are coming together as a community right now to get through this. And a lot of people are now realizing they don't have homes to go back to if they did evacuate, or they're coming out of homes that they've been stuck in. Just a terrible, terrible situation. A lot of people needing shelter right now.
The Lee County manager mentioned earlier today that the shelters are open. They can take 40,000 people. We wanted to let you know that the First Alert Hurricane Guide is available to you. If you have your phone with you, if it's working, just point it at the QR code that's on your screen right there. The QR code will lead you to how you can download the Hurricane Guide and can get you up-to-date information so that you can have that straight to your phone if by chance your phone is working. One quick update with regards to the human toll of Hurricane Ian and what it has done to Southwest Florida. We know at least 9 people have died because of this storm across the state of Florida. 6 of them in Charlotte County. We got confirmation 2 of them in Sarasota County and 1 of them in Volusia County over on the East Coast. So far, 9 fatalities from this storm.
And as far as Lee County goes, they're still assessing those lives lost. We've heard from the Lee County Sheriff that there are deaths. He can't confirm how many at this time. There are search and rescue efforts happening. We've seen Coast Guard helicopters, people on boats going out to try to rescue people, particularly around Sanibel Island. I'm working to confirm if those rescue efforts are happening anywhere else as well. We know that Pine Island, for example, you can't get on or off that island right now, and bridges have failed there. It appears that they're destroyed in some places. People can't get on and off that island, and there's a lot of people worried about their family members or their property there, and people are simply getting turned around if they try to go there. So just an update I thought of.
In the box next to us, you are looking at brand new video of Cape Coral damage that we shot from a drone earlier today, seeing some of the first images of Southwest Florida's largest city. This is an aerial video looking directly down, getting a sense of the damage across Cape Coral. Comparatively speaking, it appears that Cape Coral has done okay. I don't want to overstate what has happened in Cape Coral. One of my colleagues here at Waterman Broadcasting was over in Cape Coral, which is where he lives. He reported back that most of the major roads across Cape Coral looked pretty good and that they were passable. Most of the traffic lights were out, but they were doing okay. You can see some damage in this aerial video. You can see debris across yards. I'm looking for tree damage at this point. Don't know that I'm seeing a ton in the video we're showing, not to say that it isn't happening over there. We did see a boat in a place that it was not where it started during this storm, and you can see a fair amount of damage in that parking lot that we were looking down on. I did get a message from a viewer who said, your news anchor's not realizing a lot of us don't have internet service, so we can't use the alternate methods they're suggesting for contacting folks. For cell service, Verizon, AT&T are not working at all. Xfinity is very sporadic. I get the reality of that. We're dealing with it ourselves. You know, this is for the people who can do it, and I understand the difficulties that everybody is facing right now because we're dealing with them too. For example, my phone right here, I have it, and it's not giving me the ability to call anybody. I called home and talked to my family using somebody else's phone in the newsroom because their phone was working and dialing out, but my phone is not. So I understand the reality. We're trying to get folks the information that they might be able to use that hopefully pertains to them, but we get it. We get the reality that a lot of this is a pipe dream at this point, and we're just hoping that it's a reality for you too as quickly as possible.
And we are working to get our crews spread out across Southwest Florida. I know we're trying to get some more information and visuals for you on what's happening in Charlotte County. So we are working to get out there. I know we've shown you a lot of Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach. If you're just now joining us, those communities are devastated. The Sanibel Causeway has collapsed. People can't get on and off that island. Same with Pine Island, as I mentioned. And it's tough when you cannot communicate with your loved ones. I understand, and I feel for you that is very tough. And as we get into nighttime, I worry, and I just hope that everyone can hang tight and just know that we are thinking of all of you.
We do have some breaking news with regards to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came to Southwest Florida this afternoon. We took him live right here on ABC7 and NBC2 from Charlotte County when he spoke in Charlotte County. We have now learned that the governor toured impacted Punta Gorda sites this afternoon, and then he did come to the Lee County Emergency Operations Center, and he toured impacted Fort Myers sites as well. So the governor has come to Southwest Florida to see what's happening in our area. We're going to stay in our area and go across the river from here in Fort Myers over to Cape Coral. We have new video. This is coming from Joshua Cole, is that correct? Okay, this is Joshua Cole, our reporter, with a story from Cape Coral. Here's Josh.
Cleanup can now begin for people who live here in Cape Coral and all over Southwest Florida. Debris found in the yard, trees that were knocked over in the winds of Hurricane Ian. But some people are dealing with a whole lot more, including boats washed ashore.
They said to get out, but I felt like this is probably one of the safest places here.
We found Mike and his Cape Coral neighbor David outside overnight, looking at the damage left behind by Hurricane Ian's winds.
Just were watching our boats. Thought they were going to sink, but they didn't.
In daylight, we see this boat broke free of its dock, washing ashore just up the canal in this Savona Parkway neighborhood.
We'll start calling the insurance companies and getting things fixed.
Ian's winds mangled businesses like this gas station and roofing all over. Most streets around the city were left in darkness. Here off Southeast 12th Street in Cape Coral, much of this neighborhood was left untouched, but this house is under power lines.
A lot of people lost more than, pool screens and fences and stupid stuff like that.
As more of us come out now the storm has passed, more damage is seen on roadways, even as local officials urge you to stay home while crews work to clear power lines, trees, and more.
Anybody who suggests riding out a strong Cat 4 hurricane, I don't recommend it. Irma was nothing compared to this.
We're now looking ahead.
Yeah, my one neighbor from Hawaii has already messaged me and said, hey, I've got a chainsaw and a can of gas in my garage along with a generator. Use whatever you need.
I'm just clean up. I'm good. This is where I live. I'm well.
In Cape Coral, I'm Joshua Cole, NBC2.
Joshua, thank you very much. I've covered hurricanes for the last 20 years across Florida. I've covered Hurricane Dennis, Hurricane Ivan, Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Charlie. I was actually not living in the state of Florida, but I know how important that was to Southwest Florida. One of the things that you notice after a massive hurricane is it is the worst in Mother Nature. It is the best in human nature, to be sure. And you see people whose immediate reaction to devastation is that they want to help. Let me give you one example of that. The World Central Kitchen has been working all day to create food, cook food, and their teams all across Florida are serving thousands of meals to people needing our support. they showed some video from Pine Island, and they said that's why we have an amphibious vehicle to be able to reach wherever needed with food and water, just trying to do what they can for people in need. And you gotta love that reaction at a really difficult time when your first thought is, who can I help? What can I do? And it's always nice to see.
It truly is. Well, when we come back, we do have a story out of Punta Gorda that we would love to share with you. So we will be right back in just a few minutes.
It's the 4-day sale at Bears Furniture. Save up to 50% or more, including 50% off all Tommy Bahama. This dining table is back in stock for the holiday season at just $8.98. Want leather? All Natuzzi editions now 50% off. Where? Bears.
At LMCU, we know your checking account is bigger than just checks. You use it every day. A little here, a little there, and a little extra goes a long way. Our 3% max checking pays almost $450 extra every year. That's 64 extra chew toys, 90 extra coffee dates, and 132 extra roses for that extra special someone. 3% max checking, a little extra for life's little extras. Earn more at lmcu.org.
Just outside of a town called Basic is Basic Lake, where families gather together for some basic fun. And if you have the 2022 Nissan Rogue with a VC turbo engine and 5 drive modes, you can climb above Basic and find a trail where no one else goes. The 2022 Nissan Rogue, anything but basic.
Get 1.9% financing for 36 months on 10 models. Like Rogue, with best-in-class fuel economy.
Psoriasis really messes with you. Try, hope, fail.
No one should suffer like that.
I started Cosentix. 5 years clear.
Real people with psoriasis look and feel better with Cosentix. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentix. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections, some serious, and the lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor about an infection or symptoms, or if you've had a vaccine or plan to. Tell your doctor if your Crohn's disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
Best move I ever made.
Ask your dermatologist about Cosentix.
As Southwest Florida recovers from Hurricane Ian, count on NBC2. We will continue to update you with the critical information you need to stay safe. We will stay on the air with the latest conditions. For continuous coverage, count on NBC2.
Back now on ABC7 and NBC2 with brand new video from Punta Gorda. You are looking at some of the damage to one of the larger cities in Charlotte County, as we have spread out across that city to show you damage to roofs, damage to buildings, damage to yards, trees uprooted. That one right there, pushed over to a 90-degree angle. This is brand new video, and there's a Waffle House boarded up. We've talked a little bit about the Waffle House Index. What happens to Waffle Houses anecdotally, but very accurately depicts how bad a storm was. Well, Waffle House closed. We got word yesterday in Fort Myers. That means that the hurricane damage was bad. Historically, it's shown it, and it certainly has in this case.
Absolutely. And across Charlotte County, we know at least 6 people have died from Hurricane Ian. Across all of Florida so far, 9 people. And it sounds like local and state leaders only expect that number to go up, very unfortunately. But again, 9 people dead total, 2 in Sarasota, 6 in Charlotte, 1 in Volusia. And we want to stay in the Charlotte County area for a moment. We have our reporter, Evan Dean, is out there, so he can show us a little bit of what's going on there. Evan?
Yeah, we are right along Gilchrist Park. This is near downtown Punta Gorda. Downtown just over our shoulder this way, but over our shoulder this way. Look at this. I'm told this is a hotel. You could see windows blown out, siding ripped off. And along this area in Punta Gorda, it really is a mess. It's like many, many scenes that we have seen across Southwest Florida. We've got a guy over here dealing with a bunch of trees that went down. We've seen power lines come down, and if we pan over to the left here, they've boarded up the windows here because this particular house had some major window problems. But I have talked to people around this area today, and despite what looks to be a ton of debris everywhere. This may be one of the few places in Southwest Florida where after Hurricane Ian, they can say they have seen worse.
From my personal experience, this is not as bad as Charlie. I expected a whole lot worse. I expected to come home to not come home.
We feel very fortunate, but we do feel terrible for the people who have lost, because we both have been there from being through Charlie, so we know what it kind of feels like.
Governor DeSantis was near Punta Gorda earlier today. He was at the Charlotte County Emergency Management Center. We'll have more on what he had to say about this storm, not only here, but all across Southwest Florida. That's coming up. For now, back to you.
Evan, thank you very much. There are people in Punta Gorda who can say, yes, I saw worse, because they're talking about Hurricane Charlie. I mentioned briefly the Waffle House Index. Let's go over to Chief Meteorologist John Patrick from my station, ABC 7, to get you more on the Waffle House Index, which, again, your first reaction made it, that's a little silly, but JP, it's proven accurate.
I first heard about this when Hurricane Irma was coming through back in 2017, and so I went and I dug up a little research, and this is a real thing that FEMA uses to loosely gauge how bad a storm has been in a particular area. If they go in and they find that the Waffle House in a particular spot has a full menu offered, that means all the lights are on, all the utilities are fine, they don't need to send a team there to fix the utilities. If they're offering a limited menu, that means there's limited power and utilities, and they need to send crews there, but maybe not a high priority because a limited menu is being offered, and power outages and utilities may be sporadically out. But if the restaurant is closed, the Punta Gorda one there was closed. Our one director, Chris, said he went to the one and tried to go to the one in Fort Myers. That one was closed. There's no power, and they need to send crews there pretty immediate to try to restore power. And the owner of Montclair Communications, who owns ABC 7, Laura Kunkler, she actually ran into the crew at the Punta Gorda Airport, I believe she ran. There's their car, the Waffle House response team. And this was, again, from 2017. And here are three of the guys that were actually part of that team, the FEMA response team, the Waffle House response team back in 2017. So it is a thing that FEMA uses to kind of loosely gauge where to send the response crews after one of these storms. So, Waffle House is more than just good food. They actually help in the recovery as well. We are looking outside Kalia Bay. This is the Gulf of Mexico. This is, other than our camera here at the station, this is the only camera that I have that's working on our neighborhood weather network. And I show this because this is the reason why we all moved here. These beautiful views here. This particular shot does not show any buildings. It does not show any houses. They're not built here on Kalia Bay. You see the bay is still very, very high. But, we need to occasionally take a break and just be reminded of why it is that we moved here and why it is that we live here and why it is that we stay here and that we're going to stay here even after all of this that we've been through together. One good piece of news here on our live radar here at 620 is we don't have any rain. Ian, which is now a Hurricane 1, Category 1 again, out on the Atlantic side, kind of east of Jacksonville. The good thing about the backside of the storm is it's now dropping the humidity and it's turning our wind. We want to get a northeasterly wind so the water that's piled up still has a chance to work its way back down into the Gulf of Mexico. That is going to happen as we get into the day on Saturday. There'll be a little bit of a breeze tomorrow, but the wind direction is still kind of north-northwest. And that's going to continue through Friday afternoon. But as we get into Friday night with a breeze 5 to 10 miles per hour, that lower humidity is going to allow you, not only tomorrow night, but also tonight, to pop open, especially those north-northwest facing windows, and allow that comfortable breeze to come in because a lot of people are without power and don't have air conditioning tonight. Saturday morning, this is going to be the time where we actually start working in an easterly component to the wind. That's going to help to drive that water and allow it to make its way back from Charlotte Harbor, from the Caloosahatchee, from the Imperial River, and all the others. It's going to allow it to work back out into the Gulf of Mexico. So that is a really great piece of good news. Another piece of good news is watch these temperatures as we go through the evening. I mentioned we don't have any rain out there. We're going to have a mainly clear sky. 10 o'clock temperatures in the low 70s and upper 60s. We're going to start the morning tomorrow right near 70 in the urban corridor, and could see some upper 60s and mid 60s inland. So it's going to be very comfortable tonight, and on the 7-day forecast, we have 70 for tomorrow night, 71 on Sunday morning, 70 on Monday morning, and the upper 60s Tuesday and Wednesday morning. If you're listening to us on the radio, I mentioned all those temperatures, and then the mid 80s for most of the next 7 days, and no real rain chances. Just an isolated rain chance by the time we get to next Wednesday and next Thursday. We'll be back with our coverage of Hurricane Ian's recovery here on ABC 7 and NBC 2.
We all get knocked down, but slipping and falling on a wet floor can keep you down and out. At Farah & Farah, we'll investigate if unsafe conditions caused your injury, and we'll fight to hold those responsible accountable. You may be down, but that doesn't mean you're out. Farah & Farah.
Gary knows golf.
You need to have good balance, good support.
Where to find that support?
2 words, the Good Feet Store. How many words is that?
Swing by for your free arch support fitting.
It's the 4-day sale at Bears Furniture. Save up to 50% or more, including 50% off all Tommy Bahama. This dining table is back in stock for the holiday season at just $8.98. Want leather? All Natuzzi editions now 50% off. Where? Bears.
Bosch refrigerators feature timeless details. The cool stainless steel back wall, adjustable split shelves, and transparent wide gallon door bins are illuminated by brilliant LED lighting, made with durable, high-quality materials, and have innovative features designed to help you preserve the foods you love.
Visit the Mullets Appliances showroom today and get inspired.
Modern Brothers Furniture is here to help you create the vision you've been dreaming of for your whole home. Save up to 40% off furniture, take an extra 20% off accessories, and enjoy 12 months of interest-free financing. Modern Brothers Furniture, the furniture family you can depend on.
As Southwest Florida recovers from Hurricane Ian.
This has an Armageddon-type feel to it.
Count on NBC2. We will continue to update you with the critical information you need to stay safe.
We have to all lean on each other during this time in order to get through this.
We will stay on the air with the latest conditions, where you can go for supplies, when power will return, where it's safe to go out, and where it's not. For continuous coverage, count on NBC2.
We're going to be sending you off to national news coming up here in a couple of minutes. But before we do want to show you some new video that we have giving you another impact or another sense of the impact that Hurricane Ivan has had across Southwest Florida.
So right here, this is on San Carlos Boulevard as you're heading into Fort Myers Beach. Take a look. If you can't see and just hear us, those are boats thrown into the mangroves there. Boats crashing up against each other on land. They were thrown out of the water onto land. Just a lot of boats as you go into Fort Myers Beach. But again, it's not recommended to try to head there till at least Saturday, is what town leaders have said. And, you know, we do have the curfew in place in Lee County as well, too. But there is a look at what we're seeing on that road as you head into Fort Myers Beach.
The situation with boats has happened all across Southwest Florida. I was down by Pinchers Marina earlier today, and there were 4 boats that had basically turned into a little boat graveyard. They were all clumped together. That's not where they started during the storm, but they looked exactly like that.
Those are the shrimp boats, too, on Fort Myers Beach.
Those are shrimp boats that are all in a pile.
That just, oh, man. Thrown onto land, just intense to see that. And I mean, again, we've been talking about so many people's livelihoods being destroyed, even if fortunately they have their lives. You know, there's so much uncertainty as we move forward.
And once they become untethered, then they are at the storm's mercy at that point.
Yeah, wherever the water goes, they go. I mean, it's like you said, there are lives lost, there are livelihoods lost, there are homes lost. This is going to be a scale of, oh, okay, well, I just lost this. I feel fortunate, or, you know, it's just so devastating.
That's what really got me. The first thing I saw when I got up this morning was that.
That's the Fort Myers Pier. And then we're pulling back. You can see into Times Square in the Fort Myers Beach area, a beautiful part of Southwest Florida.
Right.
Unfortunately, it looks like this. You know, one of the things that stands out to me as we see some of the aerial video is the lack of color, because it's as though Hurricane Ian took all of it away. All you're left looking at is rubble and sand. and it lacks the vivacious color that we are so used to from Southwest Florida.
I think I can see the Times Square clock still there. Which
Did that thing stay standing?
I think so. I don't think it's standing, but I saw like a glimpse of it. But either way, I mean, Times Square it's decimated. It looks like people are comparing it to a war zone. People are saying it's apocalyptic. Pierside, one of the restaurants there, is gone. I mean, some of those restaurants that are still standing in some way, they're very destroyed.
Our coverage will continue at 7 o'clock. We're going to send you off to Network News. You've been watching a simulcast from ABC 7 and NBC 2.
It's an incredible 4-day sale at Bears Furniture. Save up to 50% or more, including 50% off all Tommy Bahama for one final weekend. Own this customer favorite for 50% off. Want genuine leather? All Natuzzi editions, including special order, now 50% off. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for immediate delivery. All the name brands, all the style, all marked down this weekend, only through Sunday. Wear Bears.
Hamilton and Fort Myers at the Barbara B. Mann Performing Arts Hall at FSW. Get tickets at bbmanpah.com.
We see the match points and new beginnings. We see the moments that matter most and the future bragging rights. The celebration of first-time parents and final chemo rounds. We see you and we hear you. So keep doing you. We'll be here to support you along the way.
Imagine the perfect home, a place to entertain, unwind, or simply relax. At the Norris Furniture and Interiors Fall Home Event, come explore our newest collections from Tommy Bahama. Norris Furniture and Interiors, where beautiful homes begin.
As Southwest Florida recovers from Hurricane Ian.
This has an Armageddon-type feel to it.
Count on NBC2. We will continue to update you with the critical information you need to stay safe.
We have to all lean on each other during this time in order to get through this.
We will stay on the air with the latest conditions, where you can go for supplies, when power will return, where it's safe to go out, and where it's not. For continuous coverage, count on NBC2. Count on Southwest Florida's most experienced storm team.
Yeah. That's your roof?
Yeah. We had to sleep all of us all the way up there.
This could be the deadliest hurricane in Florida's history.
Do you speak with your husband if you're believed to be elected to someone?
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, reporting tonight from Fort Myers Beach, Florida.
Oh.
reached the end of the sleep app. You're the first person to actually do that. I want to say congratulations, but it's also disappointing.
What do you... That's it?
I've got nothing left. Hey, if I were you, I'd try warm milk.
Enough out of you.
Oh, is this really helping? Good days start with good nights. So you may want to talk to your doctor about both.
I'm still here.
Oh, boy.
With less moderate to severe eczema, why hide your skin if you can help heal your skin from within? Dupixent helps keep you one step ahead of eczema with clearer skin and less itch.
Hide my skin? Not me.
Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about Dupixent.
As someone living with type 2 diabetes, I want to keep it real and talk about some risks. With type 2 diabetes, you have up to 4 times greater risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Even at your A1C goal, you're still at risk, which if ignored could bring you here. May put you in one of those, or even worse. Too much? That's the point. Get real about your risks and do something about it. Talk to your healthcare provider about ways to lower your risk of stroke, heart attack, or death. Learn more at getrealaboutdiabetes.com.
Vehicles are so smart these days they can practically order their own ultimate protection from WeatherTech. Floor liners are engineered to fit perfectly to catch and hold spills, messes, and muddy humans. Seat protectors defend against dirty clothes. Cargo liner provides full protection in the back. And Cup Phone makes sure the phone is secure and handy. Order your premium American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Let's dive in.
But what about your back?
It's fine.
Advil Dual Action fights pain 2 ways. Advil targets pain at the source. Acetaminophen blocks pain signals. Advil Dual Action.
Searching everywhere for great prices on appliances? No, you have better things to do. Besides, Good Deals has it for less. And we have many items in stock despite shortages everywhere. So get in here, get a deal, save your money. Searching everywhere for great prices on appliances? No, you have better things to do. Besides, Good Deals has it for less. And we currently have stock on many really great deals. So get in here, get a deal, save your money.
As Sensodyne scientists, we make sure we listen. People tell us they're looking for ways to invest in staying strong and healthy. It's why we created new Sensodyne Nourish. It uses science that actively nourishes and strengthens teeth. You can start using it today. New Sensodyne Nourish.
New Salonpas Lidocaine Flex, a super thin, flexible patch with maximum OTC strength lidocaine that contours to the body to relieve pain right where it hurts. And did we mention it really, really sticks? Salonpas, it's good medicine.
When your V-neck looks more like a U-neck, that's when you know it's half washed. Downy has 7 benefits that condition and smooth fibers, so clothes look newer, longer. Feel the difference with Downy.
We were witness to history, and I know we felt so privileged and so touched to be there.
Josh had a pretty good season last year.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that takes a little bit of credit for it?
Yeah, of course.
Look at what we pulled out of the water. What was the evidence that led you to this day after more than 8 weeks? People have water up to maybe 4 or 5 inches inside their homes. Thank you for joining us. I'm NBC2 anchor Peter Bush.
NBC News, winner of the Edward R. Murrow Award for Overall Excellence. As Southwest Florida recovers from Hurricane Ian, count on NBC2. We will continue to update you with the critical information you need to stay safe. We will stay on the air with the latest conditions. For continuous coverage, count on NBC2.
Searching everywhere for great prices on appliances? No, you have better things to do. Besides, Good Deals has it for less. And we have many items in stock despite shortages everywhere. So get in here, get a deal, save your money.
I'm Marco Rubio, and I approved this message.
Val Demings. She'd be Florida's most liberal senator ever. Demings votes with Pelosi 100%. She supports amnesty and gave stimulus checks to illegal immigrants. Supports taxpayer-funded abortion until the moment of birth. Demings even voted to allow transgender youth sports and teach children radical gender identity without parental consent. Val Demings. She's not just liberal. She's dangerously radical.
Searching everywhere for great prices on appliances? No, you have better things to do. Besides, Good Deals has it for less. And we currently have stock on many really great deals. So get in here, get a deal, save your money.
See severe weather before it happens. Download the NBC2 weather app today.
Breaking news at 7 o'clock. Punta Gorda says it has restored water services to most people. You are watching and listening to NBC2 and ABC7's continued team coverage of Ian's recovery. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kelly Burns. Water might be back on in Punta Gorda, but a boil water advisory is still in effect for most of our communities, so you need to boil your tap water before you drink it or use it for cooking. In Cape Coral, crews are working to restore drinkable water. This is a view from this Sky 2 drone from Cape Coral. You can see in many communities there is still some flooding and roofs are missing, landscaping is down, and there are still roads that are underwater.
The city of Naples says its water treatment plant is fully operational once again.
There are still some water pressure issues, of course, so the boil water advisory is still in effect. There are water main breaks and leaks that still need to be repaired.
And they're asking you to conserve water if you can, put less stress on the city's infrastructure. That goes for pretty much every community in Southwest Florida. They're really stressing that. Try not to use water unless you have to, because some of the lift stations and pumps that process raw sewage, they don't want those to fail. Southwest Florida International Airport says it is still closed for passenger flights, just emergency personnel and humanitarian flights. They will restart commercial flights when the airport gets power and water back.
I did get an email, though, from United Airlines. I was supposed to take a flight tomorrow, and they are not resuming operations out of RSW until at least October 7th. So the airport could be closed for at least the next week. Naples Airport will be back open for limited operation tomorrow, 8 a.m., under a prior permission required model. Crews were working to clear the runway for emergency relief helicopters to land today. You see that there. They're using fire trucks, street sweepers, and front-end loaders to clear the runways and taxiways.
We're going to show you some more video here of the devastation in our communities. If you can see this, we understand many of you don't have power and are listening, but this is San Carlos Boulevard leading up to Fort Myers Beach. And the thing that really stands out, at least in this stretch of Southwest Florida, is how the water surge, the storm surge, lifted boats out of the bay and tossed them either onto the road or in some cases to the other side of the road into the mangroves. Just boats everywhere on the roads. Let's see what else what other video do we have? Oh, this is just a little bit farther down the way on San Carlos Boulevard.
This is actually on Main Street. If you turn left off of San Carlos Boulevard, just under the bridge to go to Fort Myers Beach, all the shrimp boats are there, usually in the water, waiting to go out on missions. They were obviously taking out for the hurricane, but now the mobile home community across the street on Main Street looks like many of the manufactured homes were pushed onto the shrimp boat, so it'll be wild. And in the distance there, you can see where the Key West Express goes out. Maybe many of you know that landmark, and Salty Sam's and Parrot Key.
NBC2 and ABC7's Gage Golding went to Estero Boulevard near the Lani Kai to give you a better idea of the damage on Fort Myers Beach.
I want to take you on a walk down Estero Boulevard, and this might not look like the main drag through Fort Myers Beach as you remember it. Well, that's because the beach now covers Estero Boulevard, and many of the landmarks you might remember, like the Lani Kai, still stand, but are surrounded by devastation. Scooters thrown effortlessly like they're nothing, like pieces of paper. Entire buildings completely leveled. I mean, look at this. Just stilts remain from part of a building here on Fort Myers Beach, and the sound of helicopters above the sky from the United States Coast Guard now fills the air. That is what walking down Estero Boulevard in Fort Myers Beach sounds like now. It's what it feels like now. Many people I talk to here say this isn't what they call home. This isn't what they remember. Actually, some of them want to get off the island entirely.
I'm not even sure. I really don't even know. I mean, we might just move off the beach, truthfully, and just that was the most horrific storm, hands down.
And the work here is just getting started. Down this way as we head down south on Estero Boulevard, heading down the island. This is a big island measuring several miles long. And I asked the search and rescue teams, I said, how long do you think you're going to be here before you make it the whole way down on the island? They said, it has taken us this far to get to the Lani Kai, just south of the Lani Kai, in 2 days. It could take weeks. Heck, it could even take a month before they finally reach the entire end of the island, searching every single building. Back to you.
We just got some brand new information from Sanibel. The mayor had kind of a Facebook Live news conference and gave us some very important updates, starting with they have at least 2 confirmed fatalities on the island. So 2 people died, but they said an estimated 200 households did not evacuate. So we hope that death toll doesn't go up, but it does not sound like a sure thing.
12 people were taken off the island. They were treated for injuries there. 40 rescued with no injuries. So of those 200 people, they did have to go out and actually get people off the island. But again, we just got new information that there were 2 confirmed fatalities on Sanibel Island alone. LCEC Island Utilities, they will not be able to access the island until at least tomorrow because, as we told you earlier, The causeway has been breached in several places, and one of the islands has been basically washed away. And you were looking at some aerials from today of Sanibel Island.
So it's really going to be a slow recovery because they have to take crews and equipment over by boat to Sanibel right now with the causeway washed away. So they're going to get some more boats tomorrow, very limited equipment on the island. LCEC going to be on the island tomorrow. But for now, their sole focus is pretty much getting people off of Sanibel.
Yeah, and I spoke with Mayor Holly Smith right before the storm as it was coming in, and she was giving the update tonight along with some of the council members. Scott Crater, I've been in contact with him today as well, and Holly and Scott were very, very worried about people who stayed on the island, and it looks like 200 people did not evacuate, and they had to go back in and get them. I think some of the biggest criticisms coming now are that people want to get back on the island, and it's just not safe, and they cannot do so. But again, people are really worried about their homes.
We're showing you some video right now. If you can't see it because your power's out, the damage on the Sanibel Causeway, this is not just a little bit here and there. An entire section was washed away, something we've never, ever seen in Southwest Florida.
When I spoke with the mayor, she said she was going to be at the Bell Tower Crown Plaza. That's where she's been staying. And apparently they've set up kind of a temporary city hall there. So if people have questions, that's where some of the council members will be stationed until they can at least get out to the island. 40 people rescued. Again, we've been hearing about rescues up and down the coastline and showing you video. Nightly News just showed you video. Many, many rescues. We are getting word that 500 people between Charlotte and Lee County have been rescued in the last 24 hours.
Those 2 deaths that the Sanibel mayor shared with us, those are the first confirmed deaths in all of Lee County. We are sure that there are more between Fort Myers Beach and other coastal communities that had to deal with the storm surge. Lee County Sheriff Carmine Marcino alluded to more deaths this morning, but we still don't have a confirmed number. But those are the first confirmed deaths in Lee County. We know that at least 6 people died in Charlotte County. And so the death toll for the magnitude of the devastation, relatively low compared to what some people were thinking. But again, these are early numbers.
And it sounds like tomorrow is going to be the first time that officials from LCEC and from Island Utilities, which is, they use that for their water power for Sanibel and Captiva. LCEC supplies power to both islands. It's the first time those officials are going to be able to go onto the island and assess the infrastructure. But the fire chief was on there today. He was on the island at noon, and he seems to think that the power infrastructure on Sanibel Island is extremely damaged.
Yep, it was really, really bad, folks. Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach seem to have taken the worst of it. Another area that might be destroyed is Pine Island, Matlacha. It's another area where we have some video to show you. Tonight, we were able to fly a drone over that because you can't get onto Pine Island or Matlacha right now, another area where the only access road is closed.
I think we're going to talk about the giving board first, Keith, correct? Okay, we want to let people know. I just got a text from someone asking, is there a way that we can donate to help the so many families across our region who are displaced or have had damage to their homes? And get out your phone if you can, because we have a QR code, and it will take you to a link where you can find information for the Southwest Florida Relief Fund. All you have to do is scan that QR code on your screen right now. Take a picture of it, open up the link, click on it, and donate to the Southwest Florida Relief Fund. This is a local fund. It will be managed by the folks at the Collaboratory, and we're just helping them promote this so that we can raise as much money as possible for people.
Well, also, I'm going to put this on my Facebook page right now. If you are listening and don't have TV or power, so that you can find it on your phone, or maybe someone can share it with you. But this is going to be a great way to help the people most affected by the storm get back on their feet. You know, this is by no means going to cover the costs of the entire storm damage. That's going to be something where we're going to need the federal government to come in, but just to help our neighbors, to help the people in your community get back on their feet.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's go back out to Matlacha. We talked to some people there today, just desperate to get to the barrier island and then to Pine Island to see how their property fared.
The big bridge is still there, but everything south of Pine Island Road, like from the restaurant to the Bridgewater, is all gone. Burt's is gone. Bridgewater's gone. All the houses. Boats are in yards. Trucks are in yards. Everything's just tore up.
The cop was telling us that basically there's a quarter-mile flooded in, and the bridge is still there, but there's a channel just flowing through.
I sure had to go swimming in about 6 feet of water, it felt like. It just came in so fast. We tried getting in my van, tried to get out of here, and it just did not work. The water swept us right away.
Crews are diligently working to try to assess the situation, find any people in need of rescue. We're just asking that people avoid the area. There's no access to the Pine Island area at this time. The bridges have been knocked out. Right now, we're still assessing the situation as far as timeline. We have calls that were gathered during the storm, and we're actually addressing those currently. We just ask that people be safe, use common sense, try to allow access to the emergency traffic because it's very limited.
Talking to people today on Matlacha, frustrated, they want to get home.
We'll be right back.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the protection of Security Edge, and the most reliable 5G network. Whether your business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business.
Simplicity and savings, all from one provider. Get internet, advanced security, and voice for $40 a month for 12 months when you add Comcast Business Mobile. Plus, enjoy free installation and ask how to get a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call today.
Before you hire a personal injury lawyer, just ask them this. How many trials have they had in their lifetime? Our firm had more than 10 trials last month. And we could run this ad on TV forever, and that would still be true for every month. Here's the thing. Because the other side knows we'll take the fight all the way, we're able to settle hundreds of personal injury cases for fair compensation every single month. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Slider Genie. With over a decade of experience, our professional technicians are fully licensed and insured. Call or visit slidergenie.com today to schedule your free estimate. Slider Genie, making your slider wishes come true.
At Fair & Farah, we represent the cheated, the neglected, and the abandoned.
That's why we treat every client with honesty, dignity, and respect. For the last 40 years and today.
We'll always be here for you.
Farah and Farah.
As Southwest Florida recovers from Hurricane Ian.
This has an Armageddon-type feel to it.
Count on NBC2. We will continue to update you with the critical information you need to stay safe.
We have to all lean on each other during this time in order to get through this.
We will stay on the air with the latest conditions, where you can go for supplies, when power will return, where it's safe to go out, and where it's not. For continuous coverage, count on NBC2.
We want to show you the devastation of the Sanibel Causeway. These are drone shots that we're going to start with of the causeway before the storm, just from earlier this year. And Hurricane Ian ripped through the Causeway Bridge, especially the middle part. Look at the damage on the right.
This drone footage shows tree limbs that are all over the road. That middle section is torn to pieces. It's kind of hard to see because this is a distant shot, but when we get up close, you can see where it's been breached. There's a big section of the bridge, span A, that fell into the Gulf right there. And then one of the islands, the man-made islands, the causeway that so many families enjoy sitting, camping out, taking their boats to, jet skis, watching the sunset. One of those has washed away as well. That's home to about 6,300 people on Sanibel Island. And again, the first crews are going to be able to go out there from LCEC and the water utility company to assess the situation, but it will be a long time before the residents of Sanibel can get back.
So we've shown you the broken bridge that gets you to the island. But the people who live just before the causeway are also stuck because water is flooding the roads to their home.
Trent Bennett is there showing us why people are so frustrated.
Well, let me show you what we're dealing with over here at Davis Road, just off the Sanibel Causeway. These cars right here, this is as close as people can get to their homes. And I'm speaking to people who are waiting to wade through water or wait for a ride of someone that can get them to their house. And they're afraid when they get there what they're going to see.
I'm devastated. Honestly, it's disheartening because you can't get over there to see what's there and what's gone.
Whether you live on Sanibel Island or you live just before it, there's no way to get home.
And we had to hold our glass because the wind was so strong. We thought that the glass was going to shatter.
Patrick Martin chose to stay and ride out the storm, and now says he regrets it.
So pretty devastating stuff for sure.
Just before the causeway, the road to get home is open. It's just covered in several feet of water. What do you think when you finally can get home, what do you think you're going to see?
A lot of damage. A lot of damage. We fear mostly flooding, we're thinking, but we really have no clue.
As you're seeing this gentleman here just walk through water, we're seeing dozens and dozens of people try to make it to their homes. They got out. Now they're trying to get back to see what damage is left behind. And right now, they're waiting for this water to recede. I'm in Fort Myers. Trent Bennett, back to you.
Here we are. Totally different world that we have.
Yeah. And
how are you doing?
I'm okay. You know, talked to my neighbors today. Little camaraderie. And,
right. And everybody's okay in your neighborhood?
Everyone's okay. You know, these are material things. In hindsight or in relative terms, we're going to be just fine. So, the weather is going to be good for recovery.
Because we don't need rain.
Yeah, the last thing, you know, we're all, you know, all of our neighbors, we have all of our belongings. We're just trying to, you know, dry everything out. But the good news is we don't have any rain in the forecast, so hopefully we can kind of get that stink out and dry everything out for a few days before we really start to clean things up, get that water on and clean things up for the rest of the couple of days. All right, so we're dry on First Alert Live Doppler. We are going to stay dry for tonight. Our rain chances are limited, and there's some good news there. Water vapor satellite, we do have some orange and brownish colors just moving on in. This is good for us. So this time of year, these come, we like when they come. It's just that hint that maybe dry season is coming to an end. We're not there yet, but we're getting a little trick of it for the next few days. And we deserve this little bit of dry weather moving on in. It's not going to be overly cool, but because the air is dry, it allows that temperature just to fall another couple of degrees, and that is going to just make it feel just a little bit better at night. We're going to have the windows open, no air conditioning for this evening, so this is about as good as we can get, or as good as we could hope for as we head into the overnight hour. So we're missing a few reporting sites, of course, so what we can do here with our computer modeling system is estimate what the temperature would be based on other reporting sites that are up there and running. And it does a pretty good job doing that. So mid-70s across the board. And so for tonight, we will drop down into that near 70 range. Reason why? Well, we have that dew point into the 60s. That's not as low as, say, winter time levels, but it's low enough for this time of year to make it feel okay. And with a little bit of a breeze, I think it'll feel as good as we can possibly feel without some power for this evening. Now, 70-degree tropical dew point, that's not going to be back in the forecast for a few days. We will have some calm weather and some sunshine. It will be rather warm when the sun comes up, but find some shade and it will start to feel on the nicer side for the next few days. So we do get some quiet weather and not have to deal with any big thunderstorms headed our way or real hot weather. So I think that's a nice thing to have. For tonight, we are going to stay with winds out of the north. That's going to be nice. For tomorrow, a good bit of sunshine. So as the recovery begins, we'll probably want to get up on the early side. Hey, we're not going to probably be sleeping much, but lots of sunshine there, and that will help kind of dry some things out that you want to have dried out. Saturday by 5 o'clock in the morning. So we have one more day until Saturday, and we will see a lot more sunshine. The thing I wanted to show you on Saturday, the winds are going to turn more out of the north and east That will be key to get more of that water out there. We've seen the waters recede a good bit, but they're definitely still on the higher side, still way above what we would typically expect. They will continue to fall, especially by Saturday and into Sunday, with that nice easterly wind to push it out. It's not going to be too breezy, but it will do enough to help that that water start to move back out to the Gulf of Mexico, where we want it to stay. So as the sun is setting, so we are not going to have much daylight left, but what time does it start in the morning so we can get back out there with our friends and neighbors and help clean our community up? 7:16, the sun is going to come up and we'll have a good bit of sunshine by midday. So for tonight, mostly clear, 10 to 15 mile per hour winds. So if you are laying things out to dry for this evening, make sure that nothing, once it does dry, would blow away, because we will have a few gusts up there, 22 miles per hour. So just keep that in mind as you lay things out. 71 degrees by tomorrow morning, and some areas inland could even feel into the upper 60s. That would feel pretty good. 87 by tomorrow, so below average, and that is also due to that little bit of low humidity. We'll take that. Another breezy day. It's not going to be windy. It's not going to be thunderstorming. We will just have those gusts up to 18. Here the next 7 days will stay rain-free. That will be so nice. Monday and Tuesday, mid-80s. Our dew points stay pretty comfortable. So through next week, those overnight lows don't get above the mid-70s, which is nice. A little hint that we're heading into October. That's your forecast.
4 decades ago, we started on a journey. We planted seeds, we made promises, and we kept them.
Focusing entirely on protecting our clients, it became a way of life. We stand between the injured and those who would harm them again.
Over 40 years ago, we set out to build a law firm. What we ended up with
was so much more.
Farah and Farah. This is what we built.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the protection of Security Edge, and the most reliable 5G network. Whether your business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business.
Simplicity and savings, all from one provider. Get internet, advanced security, and voice for $40 a month for 12 months when you add Comcast Business Mobile. Plus, enjoy free installation and ask how to get a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call today.
Ready? It's happening now through Monday at Rooms to Go. Pick from 100 beautiful rooms, each under $1,500. Picture it, your home, fully furnished in your style, with living rooms under $1,500, dining rooms under $1,500, bedrooms under $1,500. So many stylish options, each under $1,500. And it gets better. Finance for $30 or less per month, interest-free for 50 months. Now through Monday at Rooms to Go.
Want to see what a storm looks like before it hits your neighborhood? With the 2View network at NBC-2.com, you can check out live weather conditions anywhere in Southwest Florida anytime. It's your first look at what's headed your way, making your plans weatherproof.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
Just a quick update from Cape Coral. We want to let you know that we have just received word that the Yacht Club Pier has been destroyed.
Cape Coral got peak wind gusts of 140 miles per hour. The eye of the storm was over the entire city at one point and stayed there for a good bit of time.
So the parking lot, parts of the Cape Coral Yacht Club, which is really the place, the gathering, the center point gathering place of Cape Coral. A lot of families like to go there. So you can't go to the yacht club for a while now. We're going to work to find out when that might be rebuilt and when the whole, the beach access and everything will be open. But again, you're not going to want to go in the water there for a while anyways. Let's take you down to Naples, show you some of the damage. And this is on Vanderbilt Drive. You can see a Jeep in the water, in debris, office cabinet furniture just lying around the side of the road, torn up tree branches, trash. There's a wire gate. In community after community, we are seeing household items, office items just picked up by the water and thrown on the side of the street. And speaking of picked up by the water, check out this pontoon boat or 2 or 3 in a business, a pontoon boat dealership, and the water came up and moved him into a car dealership, apparently.
Right now, we are showing damage to a home on 16th Avenue South in Naples, a mansion that was just feet off the beach. Normally, you love beachfront property, but not yesterday in Southwest Florida. The floods came about 8 feet up on its walls, furniture tossed all over the place. The street was a river. The asphalt is gone. All while this family was there with their young kids trapped inside. Listen.
Wind started picking up. The worst part was that the road started filling up with water, but there wasn't much rain, so we knew that it was coming from the ocean, from the seawall here, and it just didn't stop going down. So we started getting really worried. Water started filling up the bottom of our house, and we could just hear it rushing in.
Everyone's okay in this family. They said all of their neighbors within miles had at least some water in their homes.
Some new video from the Naples Pier here. You can see most of the pier is still standing, but this iconic fishing pier, kind of a symbol of Naples, is severely damaged. It's shut down. It will be shut down indefinitely. It's just too dangerous to head out on. But when you think of Naples in T-shirts and kind of a symbol of a landmark there, it's certainly this Naples Pier. They're going to rebuild it, but the fishing pier is closed for now and the weeks to come.
We saw pretty long lines for gas in Naples today. No surprise, people are trying to get gas if they have a generator or just fill up their cars. These lines have been an hour long in some spots, but definitely long line for gas in Naples. And we'll take another quick break here on NBC2 and ABC7. We'll be right back.
After a crash, you need an experienced attorney in your corner. Insurance companies will try to settle for as little as possible. They'll use every excuse to avoid paying a valid claim. At Farah & Farah, we'll fight their excuses with facts.
If your pets have turned your floors into an eyesore, we got some tricks in our tool belt. 54 now has the newest hardwood, tile, laminate, luxury vinyl, and carpet. 50-Floor brings hundreds of samples to your home to see in your own light. 50-Floor will do all the heavy lifting for you, and they can get most jobs done in a day. They'll even clean up afterwards. Call today to get free installation. 50-Floor is home improvement done right.
Call 777-50-Floor. Pick up the phone, we'll be knocking at your door.
Everyone loves bundle deals, and the bundles are back at Kane's Furniture. Kane's. Bundle 3 or more items together. Get 20% off your entire purchase. Choose 3 of your favorite items from any department for 20% off store-wide. Over $30 million in inventory, in stock, and ready for you. Bundle up this weekend at Kane's and Cane'sFurniture.com.
Get more for less. No matter how you've been hurt, in a car accident, on the job, or for medical malpractice, it doesn't matter. Life goes on. How that life goes on is where we come in. Farah & Farah, here for you, here for good.
When storms hit, lightning strikes, and you don't want to be anywhere near that. NBC2's First Alert Live Doppler radar tracks every single lightning strike, so we know where it's hitting hardest and where it's headed, so you can steer clear, making your plans weatherproof.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
I want to start off by telling you that Gulf Coast Hospital, Health Park, and Golisano Children's Hospital are all being evacuated as we speak. We showed you the images yesterday of Health Park Medical Center and Golisano Children's Hospital, all the cars in the parking lot being flooded as the hurricane tore through just a few miles from the facility. There today you see images of those cars, those washed out cars, still in the parking lot waiting to be towed away. They are having to evacuate roughly 800 patients from these 2 facilities because they have a water main break. The infrastructure, of course, across the county is in dire straits because of this hurricane. We're all boiling our water. Well, you can't boil your water in a hospital. They need clean water to run their systems. There's not enough water pressure. They need it for surgeries. They just need water in a facility this size.
You interviewed Dr. Larry Antonucci, the CEO of Lee Health, at 5 o'clock today, and he did say, correct me if I'm wrong, but that if you come there for an emergency, they'll still kind of triage you and make sure that, you know, if they can help you there, or they'll, you know, send you to somewhere. So if you have a true medical emergency, you can still go to those hospitals?
Yeah, the hospitals are open for emergency care for patients. If you hurt yourself, or when they're taking people out of some of these flood zones, they will go to those hospitals. The ERs are open, but they are having to relocate these patients, 800 patients, from the hospital to any bed in the state that might be open. So it's a hardship for families here who might be cleaning up from the devastation, might be dealing with flooding, might be dealing with FEMA, their homes destroyed, and then they have a critically ill relative who is in a hospital in Tampa or Jacksonville or Naples. So it was something they had to do. The state ordered them to do it. Larry said this is the biggest undertaking, and after the pandemic, he never thought he'd have to face something as trying as this, but the staff there, kudos to them for making it happen. It's a big deal.
Been a rough few years for our frontline healthcare heroes. Another thing that we know is top of mind for those of you watching and especially listening is power. When are you going to get the lights back on, the AC back on at your home? We interviewed a spokesperson for FP&L earlier today. He said today they were still sort of in damage assessment mode, and they have to do that first. They understand time is of the essence, and they do have their line crews ready to go. Thousands and thousands, I think the number was 21,000 across the state, and they're going to be rushing in to Southwest Florida to start fixing the power where they can, but he was not able to give us a specific timeline. We sort of pressed him on that because we know that this is going to get really hard for you to go days and hopefully not weeks, but this is serious stuff. Right now, we're showing the number of outages as of 7:30 on this Thursday night. There are still more than 400,000 homes in Lee County without power, 200,000 in Collier, more than 100,000 in Charlotte County, and just to kind of give you an idea that this is going to take some time, but they were not ready and willing to give us any specific timelines.
Should also let you know that the president has approved federal disaster emergency funds to come to Florida. So you can apply for FEMA funds, homeowners can, if you live in Charlotte, Collier, DeSoto, Hardee, Lee, Manatee, and Sarasota counties, and you are impacted by this hurricane. You can apply for federal funds to help, and we have put a link on our website to help you do that, to guide you through the process. You're going to need paperwork, phone number, everything that you need to do is on our website, abc-7.com, nbc-2.com, or you can call the number on your screen. It's an 800 number that is on our website as well, but it's 800-621-3362. Well, the hurricane might be the end of a mobile home park in the Iona area of South Fort Myers. Residents at Century 21 say after surviving a tornado in January.
Yeah, then Wednesday's storm, this means rebuilding yet again. Trent Bennett visited the park today, where people who live there say it might be easier to just call it quits.
Well, the day before Hurricane Ian made landfall, we came out here to this mobile home community in Iona, and a lot of these folks that live in these houses had already left, fearful of the hurricane's arrival, and some folks are getting home today to see the damage that was left behind.
When you come to this, it's just, you feel so helpless. It's just the tragedy of knowing that there's so many people that are older and have no family.
You can hear in those words just said that the Century 21 mobile home park in Iona is a tight-knit community.
I was just talking to my husband, and I said we have to really make some serious decisions. Again, we're on the other side of 60.
Not even 9 months have passed since the modular home neighborhood was ripped to pieces by a tornado.
This is worse than the tornado. I'll describe it that way.
Roofs completely missing. Homes pushed from their foundation and carports caved in. Half of this home now gone.
We can't do it anymore.
Now, some of these residents that live out here that went through the January tornadoes tell me they think what Hurricane Ian did here, you see the damage, is the straw that broke the camel's back, and some of them say they won't be returning to this mobile home park. I'm in Iona. Trent Bennett, back to you.
If you live in Lee County, solid waste garbage collection will resume next week, Wednesday, October 3rd. The normally scheduled day for all routes will pick back up then. This is for household garbage only. Everyday trash items, spoiled food, and then recycling will be picked up at a later date.
If you're starting to clean up outside Lee County Solid Waste, ask that you set your storm debris at the curb away from your normal household trash. Separate the two. Don't put trash under trees or power lines. They need the trucks to get in there and pick it up quickly. Put it away from fire hydrants or mailboxes. Again, Lee County will not resume trash pickup until Wednesday, October 3rd, and then it will be on your normal days.
We'll show you some more video here if you're able to see it on your phone or on your TV. This gives you an idea of the kind of storm surge they saw in downtown Fort Myers. The effect that the wind had on the flooding there was also just tremendous.
We saw water just rushing down Hendry Street and down Main Street in Fort Myers. And a lot of people live in the marina downtown, and you can see a lot of those boats, gosh, they were taking on water. They, I mean, huge parts of this floating cement dock were just tossed up on the shore like little matchsticks. So again, it gives you an idea of the power of the storm.
If you did not stock up on food and you live near 2nd Street in downtown Fort Myers, Bruno's of Brooklyn is serving up pasta and water for free.
Ooh, yum. Just what make comfort food. Makes you feel better when we're dealing with so much emotional stress. They're serving today from 5 until 5, so that would be not today anymore. And tomorrow from 12 to 5.
I'm at Bruno's of Brooklyn in downtown Fort Myers. The folks here have made a simple promise to anyone in need right now. Come and you'll be fed for free.
Nothing says smile like a plate of hot pasta and red sauce.
And all of us could sure use a smile after the week we've had.
It's a great day today because yesterday is gone.
5 years ago, Cal Bruno served free pasta after Irma. Tonight, he's at it again after Ian.
I can't believe how many first responders haven't eaten anything warm or hot in 2 or 3 days. They're living off beef jerky. I can't have that, not in my town.
So instead, it's a little linguine from a guy with a lot of heart.
This is our way of giving back, you know. If I was a carpenter, I'd be boarding up windows. I'm a chef, so I'm feeding people in need.
They'll be serving dinner again for free on Friday from 3 to 5. In Fort Myers, Sean Martinelli, NBC2.
Ooh, I'm hungry now.
We'll be right back.
X-rays reveal a lot, but sometimes even an X-ray can't see the truth. Because injuries to muscles and ligaments don't show up on an X-ray, the insurance companies will say your pain isn't real. But soft tissue injuries are very real, and they can affect your ability to work and lead to permanent damage. We work with doctors who specialize in these injuries and can see what X-rays can't, giving you a case the insurance companies can't ignore. Farah & Farah, here for you, here for good.
Everyone loves bundle deals, and the bundles are back at Kane's Furniture. Kane's. Bundle 3 or more items together. Get 20% off your entire purchase. Choose 3 of your favorite items from any department for 20% off store-wide. Over $30 million in inventory, in stock, and ready for you. Bundle up this weekend at Kane's and Cane'sFurniture.com. Get more for less.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the protection of Security Edge, and the most reliable 5G network. Whether your business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business.
Simplicity and savings, all from one provider. Get internet, advanced security, and voice for $40 a month for 12 months when you add Comcast Business Mobile. Plus, enjoy free installation and ask how to get a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call today.
As Southwest Florida recovers from Hurricane Ian.
This has an Armageddon-type feel to it.
Count on NBC2. We will continue to update you with the critical information you need to stay safe.
We have to all lean on each other during this time in order to get through this.
We will stay on the air with the latest conditions, where you can go for supplies, when power will return, where it's safe to go out, and where it's not. For continuous coverage, count on NBC2.
I want to show you this tweet from Tampa Bay Bucs quarterback Tom Brady that he just sent out. Remember, the Bucs moved their operations to Miami earlier this week when they thought Ian was headed directly for Tampa Bay. So they've been camping out there for a few days, and he just said they're going to head home now because they have a big game on Sunday. Expressed his condolences for people in Florida who won't be able to do the same, and said he's going to make a donation to the Florida Disaster Fund to get things started. So Tom Brady says the Bucs are going back home to get ready for this weekend's game after they moved the team to Miami for a few days, thinking that they were going to get the worst of Hurricane Ian.
Let's take you down to Estero now. Trees upended. This is in the Walmart parking lot there on US 41. A lot of trees in the area. There are trees driving today. That was probably the biggest obstacle driving up and down US 41, was trying to dodge all the trees that fell in the median. So you had to move over to the middle or the right-hand lane or on the side of the road, and you're moving over to the other lanes. I mean, it was like an obstacle course for sure.
I got to say, I'm pretty impressed, though, driving a little bit around town today just to get to work. They seem to have most roads pretty clear, at least the main roads. So, I mean, that's, to me, seemed pretty fast. At least we can kind of get the roads back open. We have some other video of the Estero River, Outfitters business partially submerged. It's probably going to need to be torn down. If you can see this, the water level is about as high as the building.
Yeah, and it's so fun to rent kayaks from there and head down the Estero River, see the alligators and have a picnic. But I think it's going to be a while before the folks there, and they do such a good job. And man, that is a big tourist attraction. So we hope they can get back on board and business soon.
This is a picture. These are pictures from viewer Seth Brattain, Bonita Beach Road by Coconut Jacks. Boats on the road, just infrastructure thrown all over the place. I don't even know where some of the stuff would have come from. You see there's
some boat rental companies and marinas in that area, and of course, Coconut Jacks is just a great place to go for casual.
I was trying to make out something in one of the pictures. It looked like it was a big chest of drawers, but there's just stuff everywhere where it's not supposed to be. But the boats are the main thing. That any place near the water right now, the boats got lifted clear out of the water and tossed many, many feet from where they were supposed to be. Bonita Beach, usually a hot spot with tourists, obviously.
But boats are blocking Bonita Beach Road, as we showed you. Choppers are in the air. NBC2's Alex Howard shows you the disaster zone in Bonita.
As Coast Guard helicopters passed overhead en route to Fort Myers Beach, Bonita Beach Road is blocked by boats the storm surge left behind. Further up, deputies only allowing residents and rescue workers to get to the Bonita Beach shoreline. The debris and boats sitting in the mangroves show you how Ian affected this coastal community.
Well, that's what I'll tell insurance. I don't want it back.
Here, some popular bait shops were boarded up, while others, just a pile of rubble. On Old US 41, a neighborhood hit hard by the floodwaters during Irma was spared the worst, with the Imperial River only slightly above the bank. Now many are waiting to see what's left of Bonita Beach and the city's shoreline. Reporting in Bonita Springs, Alex Howard, NBC2.
I'm going to take you to Tallahassee now. Governor DeSantis was in Charlotte County earlier today, where he was assessing the damage, and he called it biblical. He was with his wife, Casey DeSantis. Then they traveled to Lee County, and now they're back in Tallahassee.
Let's listen in on the governor's news conference.
You climb a ladder. If you do not know what the difference is between a cable line and a power line, you should not be doing that. Leave that to the professionals. Again, as the governor indicated 2 days ago, we have significantly more indirect deaths from disasters that are 100% avoidable than we do the disaster itself. So please be safe. Drone pilots. We're starting to have some issues with drone pilots in areas. Please do not operate your drones in the areas where we have military aircraft, search and rescue aircraft working. When you go in there with their drone or your drone, they have to stop working. Please stay out of the area and let us do our job. Similarly, we saw it down in Fort Myers today. People are wanting to go out and look at the damage. For every car that's going down a street, that's preventing a power line crew from getting in there and working. It's preventing a search and rescue crew from getting in there and working. Please stay outside these areas so that we can get in there. Power outages are being restored. The governor read through a laundry list of individuals that are having power restored. We did hear a question earlier today about, well, it's still 2.6 million. It was 2.6 million this morning. Jacksonville has been hit. We have power outages in Duval County, St. Johns County, Nassau County, Baker County. So those are going to offset here for a little while. FPL, the Municipal Electric Association and its municipal electric partners, the cooperative electric programs are getting their stuff turned back on. Please be patient. We have every faith and trust in them to restore the power. However, in places where we're going to have to rebuild infrastructure, that's going to take longer, as the governor mentioned. Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Pine Island, that's going to take some time. In those areas, we do have some other challenges. There's potentially vehicles in the water, there are potentially boats in the water, there is potentially debris in the water. We will be working with our federal partners to mission assign or ask their request of mission assign special resources to go in there and start looking under the water to do an underwater survey to ensure that we can actually get the necessary barges and heavy equipment into those areas to respond effectively. I think this is an appropriate time to say, Gracia, thank you very much for all your assistance. Admiral McPherson as well as the TAG, General Eifert, has been with me since day one, sitting here. He was here at 0700, which means he had to leave St. Augustine at 04 something. Thank you very much. We continue to mobilize additional resources to impacted areas. Specifically today, we did more than 400 bottles of oxygen, 100 ambulances, an additional 120 utility trucks, 4 mobile triage units. These are specific units to help triage patients if somebody becomes injured. We do have hospitals that have some issues and cannot intake patients. So this is the ability to triage individuals for that. 60 truckloads of water, 40 truckloads of meals, 40 truckloads of ice. That was a question earlier a couple of days ago. We have brought in additional pet foods, supplies for displaced pets. 5 truckloads of blankets, 5 truckloads of cots, and I believe this was requested earlier by someone, nearly 100,000 tarps. FDM recovery staff are now beginning the process of rapid damage assessments in the impacted counties to expedite all available federal assistance for the disaster recovery. The governor mentioned earlier that additional counties have been added to the Category A debris removal expedited declaration and IA, or individual assistance. Those counties are Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Polk. Again, these counties are available for 30 days at 100% in federal assistance. I am going to turn to Gracia and ask, what is that website that we need to direct everyone to for mobile intake?
For registration.
For registration.
For survivors, it is disasterassistance.org.
Disasterassistance.org. So again, we're proud that 8,700 people have already done that, and we want to continue to do as much as we can via web registration. Again, Governor, First Lady, thank you so much for your leadership today.
Okay, First Lady.
All right, well, flying over the devastation and destruction firsthand, all I can say is, our hearts and our prayers are with so many people who are suffering, which is why about 24 hours ago, we launched the Disaster Relief Fund. And I'm happy to say that after 24 hours, we have raised more than $10 million into that fund. And if you remember this morning, just at 8 o'clock, 8 a.m., we came out here and we talked with you. I think it was at 1.6 million. So now we're over $10 million. So I just want to say thank you to all of the great Floridians who stepped up to support our efforts, and all of the people across the country who are helping Floridians. Thank you. We are going to make a big difference to help get resources immediately to those people who need them most. Amazon, we want to thank them. Centene, Ian McKetney, Florida Blue, Lanier, Walmart, we'll be hearing from them in just a second, donated $1 million. Boeing, Publix, Simply Healthcare, Airbnb, Tico Energy, Wells Fargo, Verizon, CVS, Duke Energy, Goldman Sachs,
talking about
Rumble,
a relief fund
Florida
for the
Power
victims of Hurricane Ian.
And before that, you heard Kevin Guthrie, the Director of Emergency Management, just talking. I think the takeaway point for our area was what we've been stressing about power restoration, that in the areas that had catastrophic damage, it's going to take a long time.
And that was Sanibel, Captiva, Pine Island, and Fort Myers Beach. Yep. The communities he mentioned are all in Southwest Florida, so it's going to be some time, folks, but those areas are pretty much unlivable now anyways.
We'll be right back.
Everyone loves bundle deals, and the bundles are back at Kane's Furniture. Kane's. Bundle 3 or more items together. Get 20% off your entire purchase. Choose 3 of your favorite items from any department for 20% off store-wide. Over $30 million in inventory, in stock, and ready for you. Bundle up this weekend at Kane's and Cane'sFurniture.com.
Get more for less.
There's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there's a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest, reliable network, the protection of Security Edge, and the most reliable 5G network. Whether your business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business.
Simplicity and savings, all from one provider. Get internet, advanced security, and voice for $40 a month for 12 months when you add Comcast Business Mobile. Plus, enjoy free installation. And ask how to get a $500 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call today.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. As millions flock to the metaverse, many are experiencing unnecessary pain and suffering, terrible car crashes, frightening trip and falls, and on-the-job injuries. Our army of over 800 attorneys and 4,000 support staff have recovered billions for clients just like you. Injured? Just dial #law. That's all. Morgan & Morgan, America, and now the universe's largest injury law firm.
The storm has passed.
But the danger is not over yet. Stay put for the time being until emergency crews can clear the roads. Right now, there are trees, power lines, and other hazards.
NBC2 is tracking conditions so you will know when the coast is clear.
Keeping your plans weatherproof.
Sponsored by New South Window Solutions. Made in Florida for Florida homes by Florida workers. Visit newsouthwindow.com.
John Patrick is in the ABC 7 studio. John, how you doing? You get any sleep?
I got a little bit of sleep here at the station, and then I drove home this morning, and I got a little bit more sleep this afternoon. And I also want to take a moment to say everybody that's out directing traffic, because we have not had red lights around at least Fort Myers, and I live in Lehigh Acres, and I think all but 2 of the red lights were totally out. So as you can imagine, that creates chaotic traffic conditions. And so that was when I drove home this morning about 9:30, somewhere in there. When I drove back this afternoon at 3 o'clock, they had, in a lot of the bigger intersections, they had people directing traffic. And as I drove by, I waved to them, and I got a smile and a wave right back. And so as you're driving through and you see these people, just give them a wave. It makes them feel good, and they're doing this to keep the chaos as far as the traffic movement at a minimum. And that was just my way to say, we appreciate you, and thanks for doing all that until they get all the traffic lights up and running again, which will take a while, because I saw a lot of them just hanging. There were a few that had just fallen down. So it's going to take a little while. And at least we have weather cooperating over the next several days, not only for the traffic lights to get restored, but the power and our cleanup efforts and all that. Right now on our ABC7 and NBC2 live radar here at Waterman Broadcasting, we don't have any rain. And we're not expecting any rain over the next several days, which is fantastic news. We don't need any more water anywhere in Southwest Florida. There's our camera at Kalia Bay. It's probably be the last time I show it because it's now getting dark. Sunset was at 7:18. Or I should say 7:16. Sunrise tomorrow morning is at 7:18. But as you know, before the sun comes up, it starts to get light outside. And that starts to happen. We call that twilight, the daylight hours between sunset and sunrise, or sunrise and sunset. And that happens 6:55 tomorrow morning. So you'll be able to start to see, kind of like what we are right now. The sun has set. It's been set for a few minutes, but still kind of light outside. That'll happen 6:55 tomorrow morning, and it'll stay daylight a little bit after sunset. Sunset tomorrow, again, will be about 7:15. It'll stay light until 7:39, so about 20 till 8. You'll at least have a little workable daylight there tomorrow. The thing that's going to help the water go back into the Gulf of Mexico is going to be the wind direction. Right now we have wind coming in out of the northwest. If you've been outside, it's not soupy. It's not all that muggy. It's actually kind of comfortable outside, partially because of this breeze that we have that's coming out of the northwest, still wrapping around the circulation around Hurricane Ian, which is now east of Jacksonville. I'll show you that to you in a second. But about 8 to 12 mile-an-hour winds right now. That wind direction is forecast to stay north-northwest tomorrow. It's better than coming right on shore. It's still not helping that much at allowing the water to get back out into the Gulf of Mexico. But by Saturday, we're going to transition to a northeasterly direction. And along the Mayaca River and or I should say the Peace River and Charlotte Harbor and the Caloosahatchee River, the Imperial River, all those rivers that run to the east from the Gulf of Mexico, those, by Saturday, we're going to start to have that wind direction that allows the drainage back into the Gulf, and that's really, really good news. This is Ian right now. We should be getting an 8 o'clock advisory here shortly, but it's back to a hurricane. I'm not going to show the cone because it's past us, but I just wanted to show you that you heard the press conference there and about Jacksonville having power outages and such. They're on the western side of that, so they also had a little bit of a storm surge event there as well because their coastline squeezes inland, kind of like ours does in spots around Southwest Florida. Here's our wind tracker to show you the change in that wind direction and the wind speed. Again, with temperatures hovering near 70, the inland areas mid to upper 60s, we are going to be pretty comfortable out there tonight. And as we get into your day on Friday, there's noontime winds coming out of the northwest, 8 to 12 miles per hour. We're not expecting any rain tomorrow. It's going to be a mostly sunny day. Humidity is going to be very comfortable. And then on Saturday, watch as we get into Saturday morning, 4, 5, 6 o'clock. Kind of a north-northeast direction, and that trend is going to continue as we go into the morning and noontime on Saturday. You see now we have this northeasterly wind direction. It's going to allow that water to start coming down the Caloosahatchee and down the Peace River and the Imperial River. It's going to allow that water that's still sitting on shore because of the storm surge. It's going to start to allow that to push back out into the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what we want to see around here. Temperatures are going to be comfortable, 70, 71 degrees over the next several nights as we get into Tuesday morning and Wednesday morning. Could see a couple nights in the upper 60s. High temperatures during the day running below average. 86, 87 degrees for the weekend on into early next week. I don't see any rain chances. They're very small. 10, 20% rain chances, not until next Wednesday and next Thursday. So the weather is going to cooperate with us here. No rain and comfortable conditions over the next several days for our cleanup efforts here as we continue here recovering from Hurricane Ian. We'll be right back.